they're not waiting too long. What's up, guys? Sorry for the delay. We've been just chopping it up, shooting the shit a little bit.
What's up,
But we do
everybody?
got a good episode today. Lot happening in the world of bodybuilding, and yeah, man. I mean, this weekend, NPC Universe this weekend, the USA Fit Games, which used to be the Europa. There's a lot of topics we're going to cover in today's episode, but let's see. We were just kind of shooting the shit. Tell them about your shirt, man.
Yeah, so I'm like wondering. Comment below if anybody knows this. But this is the Raccoon Whisperer, James Blackwood. He's on YouTube. His YouTube channel is James Blackwood. He had a video like in 2020 that went viral. He got like so many million views, and it was him like sitting on his porch with like 30 raccoons, like just swarmed on him.
They're
just
interesting animals, though.
I love raccoons. Dude. I literally want a pet raccoon at some point.
I used to fuck with like okay, so I just moved into this new place. We've been talking about that and kind of like some of the amenities that I have here, which they've got a decent neighborhood gym. It's got a Smith machine, a shoulder press machine, a good back machine, a pull down. They have a leg press, like a machine leg press, not like your plate loaded one, a hamstring and leg extension in one.
That's a lot of nice stuff, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a whole workout in there. They have a cable, like the two pulleys too, which is nice. Which I like them, right next to each other. That way, you can do flies on them. You can do side raises. You can do, I mean,
like incline curls, or
you can press it. Like I love actually decline pressing cables. It feels really good. But they've got everything. And I used to live in the hood, kind of. Like, I mean, it's like not really the hood. It's kind of like I don't know if this term is derogatory at all, but gentrified. Like, I don't even really know what that means. But like, it was the hood, but now they're like renovating like these homes that were built in the 60s or like the 40s and making them pretty decent. And it was kind of a low income area, but now it's like, well, there's a college around there, and college kids are moving. So I guess that's what my understanding.
We had some spots like that in Baltimore, but I know what you mean.
Baltimore.
Yeah, that's where I'm originally from. It was this
fuck, dude.
Fuck, I forget what the name was now. But there was Baltimore. It was kind of like right on the edge of like the hood, and it was like a pretty shitty area, but then there were like some really nice restaurants.
Dude, I hate Baltimore.
Yeah.
I'll never go back. I went to Baltimore one time.
For what?
I was out there seeing this chick, and I was flying out of Baltimore. BWI, yeah. And I was hanging out with her in DC and like Virginia and stuff like that, which was really cool. Like it's a cool place, man. I like DC. I like Virginia. I like, that area up there. But I was like, well, I'm flying out of Baltimore. Like, hey, let's go downtown Baltimore. I'll like grab something to eat, and then I'll go catch my plane and go home. Anyways, we're like driving through Baltimore, like looking for a parking spot to go out to eat. And she's like, hey, look, isn't there a spot right there? And I'm in like, anyways, I turn. And I wasn't in the turning lane. I was in this lane that you're supposed to go straight. And I kind of thought also that the lane next to me was a turning lane, but it was also just a straight lane. It was optional. You could turn or you can make it left.
Yeah.
And there was a car coming through there, and it hit the front of the car, and it was just like,
oh, no, dude.
Yeah, no, it was like 20, 15 miles an hour. It wasn't like a serious accident or anything, but I was just like, okay, fuck Baltimore.
Yeah, I agree.
Never coming back. And then we're like walking around waiting for someone to come pick us up for like 2 or 3 hours. Like, just like, hey, like, I don't know. It was what it was. It definitely threw me off that day, but I was able to like to shake it off within like.
Was it during the day at least? Like it was light out?
It was during the day. Yeah, it was like middle of the day. It was like 11 o'clock.
That'll fuck your entire day up though.
Yeah, and I missed my flight and I had to fly home the next day, but it was okay. She got her car fixed. But I had to just leave. Like, I mean, this was like this chick that like lived out there, and like I met her in Florida, but she also lived there, and then now she lives in Florida, and it's a whole other thing. But yeah, I won't be going back to Baltimore if I can prevent
I haven't been back since I left.
Yeah. So, but what I was also saying, I lived in the hood, right? This gentrified area. this was actually a few years ago because I lived in this place, and there's like cats. Like if you're from Florida, like there's just cats everywhere. Like, or if you lived in Florida, or like there's
Mhm.
just so many cats. There's so many strays, to where like this cat would like come to my door. I one time like fed it like chicken, and then it kept coming.
That's great.
And then like she's tried to like come into my house. I'm like, no, you can't come in here. Named it and everything, and yeah, I don't know. It was funny, but like literally every day I'd get home from work about like 6 o'clock. She would come. I could whistle. I can go, and then like she'd be right there.
Oh, that's
So
great.
animals are interesting. I'm not like a huge fan of like cats. I used to have three, which was I was on trend, and I was contest prepping. I had three cats.
Oh
Couldn't
no,
sleep, and like they decide it's like midnight and it's like time to play, and they're running around the house, scratching the carpet, going to the edge of the door, like wanting to get
shit.
inside the room, scratching the carpet. I had to like put them on my patio. Probably gonna get like PETA or somebody.
Yeah,
Uh,
follow
I'm
control
never.
again.
Yeah, no, but for right now, no animals for me. Do you have any pets?
I've got a bird, a cockatiel.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
does it
Junior.
talk?
No, just Junior's kind of a little bastard,
Uh huh.
actually. Like, just kind of like a
Yeah.
prick. But
Do they
she,
live a long time?
yeah, like 15 to 30 years, they say they can live to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty long.
Yeah, I love birds. I love
Mm-hmm.
all animals, really. I would
Mm-hmm.
say probably other than bodybuilding, animals are probably like my next biggest interest.
Yeah. Good shit, man. Yeah, I think one day I get a dog or something like that, but I'm gonna pace myself with that.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, especially like if
I want to have a
bodybuilding.
yard,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna have a dog, and then, like being single too. Like I can't. I mean, it would like there's people that bring their dog to the gym. Not really much at Advanced Fit, but you've seen it like at
Oh,
gyms.
yeah.
Like I'm not trying to be like that guy like who like has a service animal. Like
That's tough.
like I'd rather have someone else who actually needs a service animal to have a service animal. Um, but yeah, man, we'll jump into today's episode. So we got a few topics here. So we got um first one's gonna be uh I mean, first one's gonna be mentality of a bodybuilder. And me and Jimmy, like we'll like direct message throughout the week and stuff like that, and share stuff on Instagram. And we had a pretty good conversation earlier about one with the NPC universe going on this weekend, and the level of I don't even want to just say talent, but there is definitely some talent there, but as well as just hard work, and the level of the physiques at that show was you know out of this world for me to see everybody pretty much show up at that show pro ready,
Yeah.
at least from what I saw in the first call outs of every class. you know from I didn't see any of the bodybuilding. I don't know, did they do bodybuilding yet?
Yeah. So I don't know
Uh-huh.
if you're familiar with Gary Turner. He's an athlete for Animal. He's been like knocking at the door
Uh-huh.
for like the last 10 years trying
Oh
to get a
yeah.
pro card. And he actually won the heavyweight class and won a pro card. And looked fucking nuts. Like
Wow.
absolutely peeled out of his mind.
Everybody at that show like appeared to be like just in 100% crisp condition. And we were talking about that, and we were talking about nationals and stuff like that, and we've talked about this on last episode, about a nationals prep and kind of what plans are for nationals. Um, but what Jimmy brought up a good point. He said, you're prepping last year for nationals or in 2021. What did you say? You
Yeah. So my prep for 2021,
Mhm.
I was more concerned about the potential of getting a pro card than
Mhm.
I was at building a pro physique.
Right.
And it's two completely different mindsets. Like I was like, oh, you know what? If I do XYZ, maybe I can sneak in and get a pro card.
Yeah.
Rather than being like, I'm just going to focus on building a pro physique, and then whatever national show I'm going to go to, I'm a pro already. I'll just go, take my spot and take my card. I think it's a
Yeah.
completely different mentality. And I think a lot of people like, you see a lot of people on Instagram that I feel like are chasing the pro card just to get the pro card. And if they look not pro ready, as long as they got the card, hey, I've got the card. I'm going to put that on my Instagram, and I'm a pro bodybuilder.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, like I understand that because it's almost like I would equate it to like the equivalent of a college degree, like
yeah,
it's like a status thing, But
and then I would kind of compare it to like, I mean, I don't want to knock anybody, but like maybe a liberal arts degree versus like an
yeah,
accounting degree.
sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, one probably took a lot more
Like,
work to get.
that's actually a good point. Like a real doctor's degree, like they know like I'd rather someone ask me, "Are you a pro?" Like, "Oh no, I'm not a pro yet,"
Yeah,
but like, you could tell my physique is pro level
yeah.
soon, versus like no one ever asked you if,
Or you have
like,
to tell somebody you're a pro.
yeah. Or it'd be like, yeah, it's like almost like being a lawyer, a doctor, like really putting in the work and the hours. So like the mentality side of that is like, you know, are you chasing that pro card for Instagram, basically to put in your Instagram bio or change your Instagram handle to IFBB Pro, insert name after that, or are you doing it for the love of bodybuilding and for bringing your physique to, what would be considered a pro level and what would be considered your absolute best. So, I don't know, something to think about. I mean, which, after seeing NPC Universe and seeing the level of competition, um, like, I definitely don't want to go get my ass kicked at a show. Not to say that I would, because I definitely, if I prep for a national show,
You'll be competitive.
yeah, and I'm definitely going to give it my absolute best. But and excuse me, with having a year of off season, underway, could definitely make some really big jumps and improvements, I believe, but like I also don't want to like kid myself in terms of like, okay, you won, one overall at basically a regional show.
Hmm.
I think there is a ladder to climb in terms of the amateurs, you know, before you're like you have a measuring stick to decide that you're really ready to turn pro.
Hmm.
Um, so my plan right now is I'm still planning to do Junior USA's 2024, which is May 2024. I'm qualified up until then, but I'm also like, not throwing in the towel if like, oh well, Junior USA's didn't go good. Like, and I'm also at the same time not making a plan B. But since I enjoy bodybuilding and I enjoy the sport, I enjoy um, improving and learning, and you know I almost feel like it's like it is an art in some way because one, there's like no rules to bodybuilding. Like you
Hmm.
get to where you want to get to, however you decide, to get there. Um, you know, you have a coach and they're making these changes and manipulations. They're, an unbiased eye. And, it's a team effort to build a sculpture, you don't see yourself from all angles, like when you see somebody like who is in shape, they don't know that they're in shape as much as like you can see how in shape they
Yeah,
are. Like because you see them from the side, you see their delt, like you see their rear delt, and you're like, holy fuck, like, but Phil Heath probably gets like looks at Phil Heath and he's like, I'm fat as shit, like,
yeah, I bet. I really believe
right.
that.
Um, but it's like an art. So like each show, like I've picked up something, each prep I've picked up something and learned something, and then you apply it, um, and you get better. Uh, applying, and then it's also like, I mean, like prep is one thing, but then like the off season is another thing. Like it's its own animal.
Yeah, I definitely believe like it's as much of an art as it is science because like you take examples from like a prep. I'm sure everybody's been there where you've stalled with weight loss. You probably drop calories and add cardio, and a week later you're the exact same weight. Like law of thermodynamics would tell you, I reduced cardio, or I reduced food, I added more cardio, I should lose weight. but there's an art form because it's not basic math where 2 + 2 = 4. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes
Yeah,
2 +
because you're
2 might
dealing with a
equal
living
7.
human body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing, man. Like you're dealing, you're not dealing with a robot. You're dealing with a human.
Yeah.
You know, um, that's like an interesting thing. Like with prep and people's bodies like being, but there is a reason for it, but it's not always able to be isolated. Like it could be the metabolism takes off because of like adaptations to it, or it could be like could be their energy like activity like drops off if
Mm-hmm.
they stop doing cardio. There is a reason, but it's not always like clear. But also I think like the other side of like the art for it is like with the training is like there's more than one way to build legs. Like there's more than one way to build a back. There's more than one way to so like it's like what tools you use to carve that statue is at your disposal, really. So um that's what you have to really, I guess, be in love with is that discovering, in some way. I think you have to enjoy this to some way, like you can be a robot about it, like. And I think there is like part of a good bodybuilding mentality is to be able to go to work and like not really question things and just
Mm-hmm.
put your nose down and just grind. That's definitely an aspect to it. But and that like you can get very far with that. But there's people that train on like all ends of the spectrum, or approach this from all different areas. Like if you ever watch like Justin Shire train, like dude, that dude trains perfect.
I love his training.
Yeah. Um if you watch
Branch Warren.
Branch, I mean, I was gonna
Like a
bring up
180.
Phil. I was
I
gonna
mean,
bring up Phil. I don't know how to say his last name. The
uh-huh.
yeah. What do they call him? The
Jamaican Tank.
Jamaican Tank. Yeah, and congratulations to him, man. He won.
Yeah, I saw that.
He just won the USA Fit Games. He beat Hassan, so he's on his way to the Olympia. Which I don't know if he needed that qualification.
For the
'Cause
Olympia, he did.
he's
He's
doing
doing the
Masters Olympia.
Masters Olympia,
Is that the
which
same time?
now the Masters is in 8 weeks.
Oh, so he'll be at both.
Yeah. He was
That's
invited to
cool.
the Masters, but now he's qualified for the actual Olympia.
Damn, dude. Hassan's just getting nothing like
You want to
against
talk
him,
about
but
that at all?
kind of, yeah. Like, I mean, but like what I was gonna say about Phil, like the way he trains, like there's some shit like, he trains different. Like the kid we brought up last week, like he's doing 20 sets for arms, like,
Yeah.
and like no one is necessarily wrong in terms of how they're training. Like, you know, I don't even want to say like it's like right in the middle. I just think it's like what works for you at the end of the day. Like what you notice and you and your coach decide is what you respond to.
Mhm.
Um, you know, stick with that.
I definitely think there's an aspect of what you enjoy too. Like, do you really enjoy being in the gym more? You might like high volume. Do you really
Mhm.
enjoy like a battle
Seeing
in the gym where it's like
right
one or
for an
two
extra
all
rep.
out sets? Yeah. So I
Mhm.
think that's going to dictate, what type of training you have as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, for me, I've gone back and forth like each week. It seems like here on like what type of training split I've been following, and I mean, I'm in the period right now where it is like the rebound phase. So for me, I mean, the body's very like it's getting readjusted to uh some normalcy versus prep. Coming off of prep, extremely like ready to just attack weights and motivated and stuff like that, and not like that the motivation is fading. It's just like it's evolving, and they're like, what do I really need to do? Do I need to be in the gym 5-6 days a week, or do I need to prioritize recovery? And like that's kind of what I've been getting back towards is now uh some more of the high intensity stuff, but still including some volume. um
One thing I've noticed about your splits though is
mhm.
each one is like an evolution of the previous one. You're not
Yeah.
like completely going 180 from one to another. You found something that you're doing and you're like, okay, X, Y, and Z works, but maybe, A, B isn't working. And then you've kind of modified that with each split. So I think that's an
Right.
awesome way to approach it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to go all over the board. You don't want to go do one extreme to the other, but take what works and cut out what's not. For me, like coming off of prep, and I've actually seen a few guys coming off of prep. Like Ian had just posted a video, like 25 rep squats, like high volume stuff. Like I think
I
coming
saw that.
off of prep, like it probably is a good thing to probably include some higher. I see this guy Stephen Cow, he's a men's physique competitor doing a ton of volume. Tommy Styles doing a shit ton of volume, but they're also like working their way into two other shows. Yo, what's up, Levi? Thanks for tuning in, bro. So I do see some of these guys, but like they're also coming off of shows. Now, if you look at Trained by JP, he's
Yeah.
always I want to see him fucking step on stage again, bro. I
He's
don't
like a
know when.
monster, dude.
He's so fucking thick.
And he's
Who
like
else?
we were talking about earlier, he looks like a pro now. Like nobody's looking at that guy and not thinking that he's a pro. So it almost doesn't matter that he doesn't have a pro card at this point. He's obviously has a pro card for physique. You know what
I
I
didn't
mean?
know he wasn't a pro. Yeah, I just
No,
assumed that he was a
still an
pro.
amateur.
You know who Kuba is?
Yeah,
Yeah, so Kuba's so I don't know his last name, Sylvester.
it's either clean or
Yeah, Cillian or whatever, something like
yeah.
that. He trains with that high intensity approach. But they're not like they're off season, like I feel like there is sort of a time and place to periodize your training depending on what you're doing. But and maybe the volume would work. I just think that there needs to be rest in between to facilitate it, because training 5 days in a row or 6 days in a row, or I think even I think you can get away with 3 days in a row, but I think by that fourth day, my body at least wants to be done. But there is who Roman Fritz is?
Yeah, absolutely. Twice a
He
day.
trains twice a day.
Insane.
And then they talk about the guys in Kuwait, like they're training twice a day, but all they're doing is training, eating, and sleeping.
Yeah. I would
I'm
love to
also
try it if the opportunity presented itself, but I couldn't.
if I could do that, if I could just train and eat and sleep, like I would do it for a month and just see run it and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Not that you're gonna make a ton of gains in a month, but I think you're gonna make what you'd make in 2 months if you trained once per day. Now the rest is like where the gains are made. It's not training in the gym. So um so what I noticed was like training as frequently, or without the rest days sprinkled in. Um I had mentioned to Jimmy earlier that like I caught like a little tweak in the forearm here. Nothing really too big of a deal. Um but I noticed that when you're on such a high output of prep, you're not I don't think you're ever really fully recovering, because by the time it's been 10, 10 hours or so, you're getting up to do cardio, or
Yeah.
you're doing twice a day cardio, or you're doing something to where it's always go go go, so you're never really letting the body take a 24-hour break.
All in a
um,
calorie deficit too.
and you're in a deficit, so you don't have the facilities to recover. um Levi says 1,000 grams of carbs a day too. That's how much Jimmy's eating today.
I actually had 1,100 today. Justin bumped me
1,100.
100.
Fuck, dude. So okay, but for you, the volume is and so I'm not cutting volume completely. I'm not going like Mike Mensa, right? I'm not going to the extreme of okay, one set, in May, and then a set of extensions or leg press in December. All that. I'm not doing that, but there is some more. There is some stuff that are just like straight sets, like 3 sets of 8. Incline Smith machine. There's what else is in the program. I'm really looking forward to doing the contractions. you know, and then
I
doing
love
10
that
reps
chest press.
contraction. Yeah, I think that one's really good. Um, but you know, so it's, and then I still have some stuff like for like your, you know, biceps, you know, shoulders, uh, a little bit for chest, like direct chest work where it's like some like, you know, 12, 15, 20 rep stuff, like one set, you know, pull downs for back, you know, one set, 15, 20 reps. But like more so like delts, chest, arms, you know, the smaller muscle groups. Some legs, like some quads and some hamstrings, like leg extensions and hamstring curls will get that higher rep stuff. But like I'm not going to do 20 rep squats usually. I'm probably not going to be doing 20 rep squats. 15 sec leg press, yes, but like,
Yeah.
you know, um,
And if it's going to be like a 20 rep squat, it's going to be one all out set. Like, I
yeah, it
don't
would
think
be
you can
one.
do multiple sets and get enough stimulus out of like using enough load to create a stimulus. You know what I mean? Like, if you're
Yeah,
doing 4 sets of 20 on squats, what are you using? Like 135, 185? Like, you're just doing
yeah.
like
And how
jump
much are
volume
you
at that
really
point.
like? The thing is, like, what I understand is that with training, the reps that you're going from are the ones before failure and at
Yeah.
failure, right? So it's not like the first, but what's making you fail on a 135 rep squat because it's getting to the end of 20 and you're like, I'm fucking gassed. Are your lungs giving out, or is it like you're like mentally like
Even just
you
uncomfortable.
could probably do 100 reps. Like that's the reality is you could probably do 100 reps with 135 until you really fatigue, you know?
Yeah.
But if you load that up and cut it, you know, okay, let's do 315, you know, let's get 15 reps, you know, okay, that last actual 3 reps. And then, you know, your failure rep or your, you know, one or two away from failure reps are the ones that are making you grow. Like, I'd rather do that, you know,
I agree.
I'd rather, I'd rather like train like a sprinter than like a marathon runner.
And their physique show the difference. You know what I mean? I don't think that's not by coincidence.
I like how, I mean, I like how, like, I like how Dusty Hanshaw trains. Um, it makes sense. I mean, but there like then there's the other side. I see people training with a ton of volume and making awesome progress. I think it's just what you can recover from. So when I first jumped into like the very high volume stuff, I was like, all right, 6 days a week, right off prep, like let's go. Um, and like while it was good because like my joints were still like, you know, I wasn't using as heavy weights and I was getting more blood flow and things like that. Just 6 days a week was just it was just too much balls to the wall for being able to be optimal by that third or fourth day, you know.
And
So
coming
I've
off prep,
noticed,
you're probably like overly excited to be in the gym more. Like, a lot of
yeah, yeah,
factors that contributed.
yeah, still looking like really good, you know. Just want to keep the food moving too, you know. But now I
Yeah.
need to take the food and make use of it to actually get me to recover, not so I can just train more. Um, so yeah, with all that, like the mentality is do something that you can enjoy, that you can do for the long haul, and what works, keep that and refine that. This is all a refinement, you know, this is all about refining and, you know, and um fucking up, failing. Like that's what the mentality is failing. And when you achieve failure, that's when uh you know, that's where you learn, you know, you're gonna hit walls. And I was just making a video earlier about like, and this is like really basic, but like there's so much information out there, there's so many supplements, there's so many like Instagram like reels and fitness things and stuff like that. Like for someone who's wanting to get into the gym, like I feel like for me, I could get like analysis paralysis, or like I could get
Oh,
like
yeah.
if something intimidates me, it's like, oh well, fuck that. I don't want to fucking deal with any of that shit, you know. So I just thought about that, and because like when I got into working out, like, you know, one out of every 50 or 100 posts was a fitness post. Like now, like when you get on Instagram or wherever, YouTube or TikTok and, you know, Facebook, like every other post is a fitness post, you know.
It really
So
is.
it's like, what do I need? What, like, it make your fucking head spin if you're someone who doesn't have any idea of a starting point. So, I mean, uh, what I kind of summed up in the video that I made, which I'll post it up on Instagram, is that there is so much information out there, but you just need to go in and fuck things up. Not like fuck things up, but go lift some weights, just go move some weights, and you're gonna do it wrong, and then you're gonna learn how to do it better. And so maybe we'll give you some advice in the gym or whatever, but like I have so many supplements on my counter, and I touched on the supplements, and it's like, if you told me 5 years ago, I wouldn't know, or 10 years ago, I wouldn't know what is for what, but I learned over time, and I made use of them for over that time, and they're actually like, bro, I didn't know how to eat before leg day like 5 years ago. Like, I didn't know how
Yeah.
to eat a pre-workout meal before.
I'm sure like things like timing too. Like, do I eat it a half hour before, 60 minutes before, 90 minutes before? It all evolved over time.
I mean, there's videos I'll watch where like guys don't even know how to really connect to their back. Like they're
Yeah.
up here, like a lot of guys don't even know how to connect to their back. Like you even pros that like don't know really how to light up the lats the way they should actually be lit up. And then they get taught and they're like, oh fuck,
I would say I was one of those people. Like, once I found Mike Van Wyck, like the way he explains things, like I understand the way he speaks. And like it completely changed my back training. And I've been training since I was 13 years old. But just hearing him explain it, I was like, oh, I gotta keep this shoulder down, I gotta rock on lat, and kind of, it's like completely different mindset.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, most people think,
okay, like, talk about it,
do wide grip lat pull downs, build a wide back. Like, that's a lot of like upper back tears, muscles, lower traps, and things like that. Like, the reality is, like, nobody fucking knows what they're doing. Like, 100%. Everybody's figuring it out to like some degree. So, like, if you're someone who's ever like not sure or iffy about doing something, like, nobody actually fucking knows. It's just some people look like they have it more figured out than others. But like, if you have it all figured out, like,
comment below.
Comment below if you have it all figured out. And then, like, I don't know, man, like, there's always another stone to unturned. And yeah, that's what makes it fun. Like, when you learn new shit, if there's no more new shit to learn, I'd be done with, I don't know if I'd be done with bodybuilding. I'd still want to go to the gym and lift, but I like learning new shit.
If you knew that this was as good as you could ever get, like, this is the benchmark, as good as you could ever get, would you keep training?
Damn, that's a tough one.
I don't know that I would. Yeah. I wouldn't do it as seriously anyway.
If this is as good as I knew I can get, I would just get shredded and be an Instagram model.
Yeah, just maintain.
At that point, yeah. If this is as good as it can be, then I'm just gonna get shredded and be an Instagram dude, because it's not getting any better than this. And it seems like those guys look the same all year round anyways.
They do. Year after year.
Yeah, so it just gets shredded. That's the thing. Like, okay, here's the other thing with like shredding and like putting on size. Like, I mean, when I first like got into working out, like, I didn't want to lose the abs that I didn't even have. Like, I didn't, like, someone told me you have to bulk and you have to eat, you have to eat food to like make gains. I'm like, I think just when I get older, my metabolism will slow down and then I'll start making good gains. That didn't happen. Like, that was like 2 months later. I was like, all right, let's get some calories. Let me learn about how to put calories down. I started making gains. Were you ready to eat?
I was like reading all this. You got to eat big to get big. You got to do X, Y, and Z. And I just went crazy right out of the gate and got super fat. Like the first couple months I started lifting, just completely sloppy.
Yeah, when I first learned how to eat, I got to college, and I didn't know how to cook. What were you eating when you were eating?
I was eating Tyson chicken breasts that were frozen, full of sodium, sugar, and then I was having like corn and baked potato. They were like chicken breasts, but they had like a barbecue coating on it, and they were frozen. And if you look at the sodium, it was probably like 900 milligrams of sodium each chicken breast. I was eating 2 of those, corn and a baked potato every meal, and I just got super fat. I thought I was
I mean,
jacked,
that's not too bad, dude. You're probably just a lot really watery with all the sodium, but
but I was cheating. Like, I would have like pizza,
you'd have stuff in between and
McDonald's.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I first started like learning how to eat, well, this is actually before I learned how to eat, but like I knew I needed calories. So what I would eat when I first got to college, I was like 135 pounds, or like 125, 130 pounds or something. And like I'm like 5'7", so like I have a small frame. So like where I'm at now, like 185, 190, floating between there. Like I mean that's a lot of weight, you know.
60
To
pounds.
Yeah, I think when I graduated high school I was like 120, 125 pounds. So yeah, 60ish pounds, in a few years. But when I first started, like I just said you need to get calories. Like I knew you needed protein. Like I knew that like it was important to get protein, and then I was like just looking at the calories on things, and I found that chicken pot pies were 1,000 calories, like 1,100 calories. Marie
Oh my.
Callender's chicken pot. Dude, I ate them every fucking day for like a month or more, probably more, maybe 3 months. I don't know how long it was. Maybe 8 weeks, maybe 3 months. But like what I would do is I would work. I would eat like a big mass gainer shake. I don't know what else I would eat throughout the day. um I would get home and I'd go work out. I get home from the gym and I would be so like fucking dead after the gym that I would like go lay in my bed, like not even showered yet. And then I would and this is like when I was in college, I'd put the chicken pot pie in the oven. It would take about an hour to cook
Oh
because it
shit.
just tasted better than like putting it in the microwave. And I'd get up and I'd fucking eat that. And then I remember like just like after like however long I was doing it for, like I got so sick of it.
But see,
I mean,
even
there's
even though
literally got to
like
be
that was like kind of
3,000
fucking up,
milligrams of sodium.
like we still had the motivation, even though we were doing things wrong, we were
Mhm.
still going 100% in what we thought was right.
Yeah.
So I think
Mhm.
that's fine, like to make those kind of mistakes if you're going all out, because you'll eventually learn, and you did. I learned,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
mentality
And
was
then,
there to just work as hard as you could.
yeah, it's the journey. And I think the mentality of a bodybuilder is you have to love the journey. And I mean, this goes kind of into the next thing. Like another topic that we're going to touch on today is some people overdo it. And it's like, yeah. And some people never learn.
Yeah,
But you're gonna hit a wall, and like the wall is gonna teach you something. um so my next like thing was like, I mean, I was getting acne, still in college, like pretty bad. And I got put on Accutane. And with Accutane, very powerful drug for acne. Like if you have
I was
acne or
prescribed that in high school.
yeah, or cystic acne, like that shit works. And they used to run like blood tests and stuff every month to check your liver values to see that it wasn't like, fucking up your liver and, other things like that. And then they also make you sign like a liability because I guess it changes people's moods and there's like depression associated with it. So, I mean, if you're someone who's going to take Accutane, like uh, you can order it like from underground labs and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But I would probably go through your doctor, especially with something that could possibly mess with your mental. Um, but anyways, it does fucking work, and I'm not going to advise you to because I'm not your doctor, and this is all just for entertainment and education purposes. But work, dude. But what they said was, hey, you have to eat. They put me on like 40 milligrams, maybe 80. I don't know. They said you need to have 1 to 2 grams of fat per each milligram.
oh wow.
I can't remember if they said it because it's what Accutane is it's like a highly concentrated vitamin A.
Yeah,
Um, and vitamin A is a fat soluble vitamin, so that they said you need to have this much fat with it.
that makes a
I
lot of
can't.
sense. I was never told that.
Yeah, I mean they told me that,
Yeah, that makes a ton of
and
sense.
I didn't. I don't remember if it was 40 or 80 milligrams they put me on. I remember they jumped up the dose though. I think they might have put me on 80 and like kind of fast tracked it. Stuff's pretty harsh though. I'll tell you what, you do get like an initial breakout. At least I did, to where your body like fucking gets out every acne that it can ever have, and then like you don't get any more after that. But it dries you the fuck out, like your joints. Like, anyways, so the reason why I mentioned the Accutane is because they said eat 80 grams of fat a day and I was like, okay, 80 grams of fat, like. So then I learned how to start tracking your macros, right? So then I learned, okay, 80 grams of fat, I hit that. Accutane's going to work. Okay, well, I might as well eat 550 grams of carbs every fucking day. And then I might as well get 200 grams of protein or 180 grams of protein, whatever I was eating at that time. And I actually have like some videos up on this YouTube channel of, I think some of them are on private, but I'll put those out to where if anybody wants to see like where I was at like 6, 7, 8 years ago, they can check those out. Yeah. And, you can see like what I was eating, and dude, I remember like each morning I would get up and have like this big 1,000-calorie bulk mass gainer shake with like I'd put like walnuts in it because I'm like walnuts fat, Accutane's gonna work perfect, and then I'd put like 2 packs of like oats in it. Dude, this was like 290 carbs or 200 and something grams of carbs for breakfast. No insulin, like probably like damn near a type 2 diabetic. Like
blood sugar through the roof.
My glucose must have been like 150, like constantly.
How did you feel?
Dude, sluggish as fuck. I'd be passing out in class. That's probably a good sign though. That means my body was probably taking the carbs and dropping them,
Yeah.
Because I was like 19, 20, and so I mean my insulin sensitivity is probably pretty decent. I was training, 6 something days a week, 5 days a week at least. And I got stronger, I got fuller and bigger, but I definitely got fat. But then when I pulled back on that food, dude, it was so easy to just drop like and start seeing some abs.
Yeah.
So the other like part of the side of the mentality of a bodybuilder is like, I think like nowadays, like everybody wants to stay pretty and like looking good year round. And it's like, if you want to be a bodybuilder, like you're gonna have a little bit of an ugly face, like like you're gonna look a bit moon face sometimes. You're gonna be thick here, sweaty here because you're pushing calories, and then you're gonna look like a death face here. It's like, and like when you're around like 4 or 5 weeks out, you're gonna look good, and then like 4 or 5 weeks after a show, you're gonna look really good, and you can maintain that. You can drop into shape, but the more often you do that, the easier it is to drop into like a good, pretty good looking physique. But there are some points where you just have to say, I mean, dude, there's points on my prep where I just stopped getting haircuts. Like I'm just like, fuck it.
Oh yeah,
like,
I stopped shaving.
Yeah, I just bum it, dude. Like, like I don't know if you're worried about like, dude, the only like opinion you need to worry about is the one that shows up on show day. Like, that's really well. I mean, I'm not saying be a scumbag and just be a bum, but like, you also have to just or like don't shower. I'm not saying don't have bad hygiene. I'm just saying like, it's not always going to be pretty. And the other thing is, dude, like it's not always going to be perfect either. I mean, there's been times where you're eating at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
There's times where, fuck, dude, I'm out of chicken breast. Oh, I'm just not gonna eat the meal. What do you do like you're out of chicken breast, or like what do you do you're out of rice? Like, what do you do like? Oh, the meal says I'm supposed to have 6 ounces of ground beef, and I don't have any ground beef.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to have 93.7 ground beef, and I'm supposed to have 150 grams of rice. What do you do in that situation?
I always have alternatives. I think what people end up.
Well, you do, right? Because Justin gives you a food list. But like the thing is, most people would be like, "Well, I don't have it. Going to bed." Like, no.
We'll go to McDonald's and get something.
You could go to or they'll go to McDonald's. Like, no. What I do is like even on prep or like anytime if I was missing a meal, okay, let me figure out what the macros are. Okay.
Yeah.
There's 43 grams of protein and 6 ounces of ground beef. It's 93.7. There's 13 grams of fat. Okay, I also need macros jasmine rice cooked. Typed it in on Google. Okay, 150 grams is 43 grams of carbs or whatever it is. Okay, I need 43 carb. Okay, these English muffins are 30. If I have an English muffin and a half, there's 40 or 45, right? And then I have chicken. Well, how do I get 50 grams of protein or 40 grams of protein from chicken? I need this much. Okay, there's protein, and I need 13 grams of fat. Well, olive oil is fat, peanut butter's fat, eggs are fat. They have some protein in them. So I'll mix and match these things if I'm like in a pinch like that. But I think some people will just say, "Oh, well, I don't have it. I need to just go
Yeah.
to McDonald's and
And if you're
you
really
know,
like, if you really have enough motivation, like you can pretty much replicate almost any meal at like a gas station, because gas
yeah,
stations have protein shakes, Greek yogurt, fruit, the hard boiled eggs in a bag. If you're in a pinch, you could like go to the gas station right down the street and get like a replacement meal that would be pretty close to the macros you need if you really look. So there
yeah,
shouldn't be
and
any
you could
excuse for like
probably
missing
even get
meals.
like a deli meat or something like that,
Yeah.
dude. I prepped. I did my peak week in the car from driving from Chicago to Florida, eating
So
deli meat, mustard sandwiches, or like mustard on the deli meat, like veggies, like carrots and shit, or like celery and pickles. Uh, if I could fit it in, I even threw in like a protein bar or like a protein shake. But it was all low carb, at that
yeah,
point, like, so it was just like, okay, get 40 grams of protein in, every 3 hours. And I won that show, but,
yeah,
yeah. And I prepped in the car, and I stopped at Anytime Fitness and did my workout and cardio
that's
there.
awesome.
Yeah. Like you can do it. I mean, that's 3 days, like, traveling and just keep sustaining it. I wouldn't, if I wasn't prepping, I would just go to McDonald's, but like,
Yeah,
or like, just take the 3 days is what it is, or have your meals. Like nowadays, dude, like I went down to my grandma's last week, packed up all my meals, brought them, you know, and then Sunday I let my grandma make me breakfast, but I still like was able to kind of keep like within the macros,
yeah,
even with her, making me breakfast. So, yeah, man, if there's a will, there's a way, and like you're gonna find a way. So, I mean, you know, I think we hit a lot on what the mentality of a bodybuilder really is. Um, let's see I mean. There's a lot because then another topic would be like having a stressful job in bodybuilding. What's like the most like taxing job or stressful job you've ever had?
uh,
And
a personal training director at LA Fitness.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I hated it, dude.
how many hours a week or a day or week were you there?
8 a.m. until 8 p.m. 5 days a week, and then 8 a.m. to 5 on Saturday. Then I had Sunday off.
Fuck, and you would do your workout after work?
Yeah, it was a miserable experience. I even hated working out at that point because I was in the gym
Yeah.
and I
Restaurant
prepped
general
for a
manager,
show.
dude. Restaurant, working at a fucking restaurant is like non fucking stop, especially a general manager. You're dealing with we got a comment from Levi.
Was that your most stressful?
I wasn't a GM. They would
Oh,
never
okay.
make me a GM anywhere. But no, yeah, no, we got a comment. Levi said he was a restaurant general manager. Dude, have you ever worked in a restaurant?
No.
I worked in the back of a house. I just washed dishes at one point, and you're on your and in prep. He said too, 70 to 80 hours a week. That's fucking stressful, dude. Uh, man, I mean, I've worked two jobs and I've worked like probably 60 hours a week, 65, but I wasn't prepping at the time, and I also was like missing workouts and shit too.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, uh, yeah, like I kind of wanted to comment on what you were saying about like working out in the same gym that you've been training at. For me, with Advanced Fit, like I don't mind, man, because
Yeah.
it's not like there's like it's not like you have your regular crowd at 8 p.m. after work, like,
Yeah.
and I get my workout in the middle of the day between a client. It's not like I'm like I have to be from here to here, and the only time I'm able to work out is after work at 8 p.m. when the
Yeah.
gym's kind of starting to die down, and like, but also there's still like the same fuckers you see every damn day, like, and it's LA Fitness, like, it's like
They
just the
always want to
usual
talk to you and talk about
suspects.
something.
Yeah, or the person who wants to come and talk to you for 45 fucking minutes
Oh, dude.
when you're just trying to get your workout in. Holy shit! At the end of
You
the
just want to
day,
go home at that point.
yeah, I think I'd just go home.
And you work there, so it's almost
Going
like
home would be more anabolic than this
yeah, it
fucking.
literally would be.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Realistically, though, any job that I had that became too stressful for my bodybuilding, I ended up quitting. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't advise anyone else to do that. I always put bodybuilding ahead of whatever job I had at the time. But I mean, at a certain point, you have to look at what your priorities are. Is it to make more money, or is it to maybe be in a position to succeed in your bodybuilding?
Or to
You know what I
be,
mean?
I mean, happy and fulfilled. I think if
Yeah,
you're more
exactly.
happy and fulfilled, like you'll probably find something that lines up with you better. I
Yeah,
think
that's
if
a good
you're in a
point.
good place of peace, you're gonna attract. And this is like philosophical, I guess you could say, but I believe in like if you're in a positive state, you're probably gonna put forth your best. So like the next interview you show up for, like that next like you're just more aligned, like you're like with your true self. So like I'm not saying go quit your job and like say fuck it, like, but like I think there is some like the same thing with like enjoying your training. Like if you're enjoying your training, like you're gonna get more out of it. Like if you're enjoying your job, like or enjoying going towards the things you enjoy. Not I enjoy eating donuts, but like if I just eat fucking
Yeah.
donuts, like we know that's not gonna be good. So like get real about that. Like, and I think it takes I don't know. I don't know what it takes to get to that place to where you really know what's good for you
Yeah.
or what.
Justin has a quote that the best thing doing the best thing for your future is always doing what you don't want to do now. So, going to bed early, eating
Mhm.
your meals, going to work, all that you don't want to do in the moment. I'd rather
Uh-huh.
just, sleep and eat McDonald's all day. But those
Yeah.
things are going to lead to the best possible future.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, a thing I like to like look at is like do the next like right thing, like
yeah,
just what's the next right thing to do like in that moment because you could overanalyze it to be like, you know, I don't know, you take one thing at a time. Um yeah, I mean that's like its own like topic like
the
because
most
you
difficult jobs for bodybuilding are probably going to be some type of hard manual labor job
yeah, so let me
because you're
tell you
just going
about
to not,
mine.
yeah,
So yeah, so I was a golf caddy and I was getting ready for my shows in 2019. And I think I probably mentioned this on the episode on the podcast before, but I was walking like 6 miles a day on the golf course, maybe 5, 6, 7 miles a day, depending on how good or bad the player was, up and down hills, walking, carrying golf bags. That's why my calves are so fucking huge.
that's awesome.
No,
Just
I
well
don't
over.
know. Maybe. I don't know. My calves aren't too bad though. Like I feel like you ever hear like Seth Feroce say cardio calves?
Yeah,
Like, like, dude, they used to do like a stepper, like
yeah.
not a stairmaster, but a fucking stepper. You ever use that machine,
My girlfriend has one. I tried to get on it
dude?
once. I
That
was
thing
like,
is a
lasted
fucking.
10 seconds.
How can you do that for like 45 minutes?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I
I don't
would
know if
fall
I
over.
could.
If I
Yeah,
was
because you're
holding
just
on to
like,
something, maybe.
yeah. But anyways, yeah, just fucking walking 6 miles a day, and then my cardio was 12 incline, 4 miles per hour for an hour. So that's another
Jesus.
4 miles. I remember like what I would do is I'd work out. I'd go lay in my car for like 20, 30 minutes. And then I'd be like, all right, time to get the fuck up and do the cardio. Have you ever hit a low on prep to where like, excuse me, I've been drinking this fucking drink and we went to, what's it called earlier? The Cheesecake
Cheesecake
Factory.
Factory.
It was good.
What
It
did
was
you have?
really good. I got a burger and fries, and then I had some orange chicken too, which was really good. Yeah, it was pretty good, man. It was pretty good. Um, definitely filled me up though. Um, what was I gonna say though?
Just when you hit a
Oh
prep wall.
yeah, no. Have you ever hit a low on prep to where like you ever go hypo doing cardio?
I have on a step mill.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I guess I got off. Had like 45 minutes to do. I was like
uh-huh.
30 minutes in, and I
Yeah,
felt like I was going to pass out. So
yeah,
I got off. I sat on the bench for like 10, 15 minutes. There was
uh-huh.
a gas station like maybe 5-minute walk. So I
Yeah.
walked there. I got a diet soda. I
Uh-huh.
sat down there. I kind of sipped on the diet soda, and then I went back and finished my 20 minutes on the step.
Wow.
So it took like an hour and a half to do 45 minutes, but I got it done.
That's funny. I've actually had a few moments going hypo on cardio. First time was in 2018, getting ready for my first show. Same thing, step mill. 45 minutes to do, got about 33, 36 minutes in, something like that. And I'm like, I'm gonna fucking pass. I don't
The
know, dude. I
cold
was
sweat.
sweating like insane. And I'm like, I gotta get the fuck off of here. So I get off. I go sit on like the lat row bench, go lay on it. And I'm still sweating. Like I'm sweating even more laying down now that I'm like off the fucking thing, trying to catch my breath. And I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, how far is my car? And like, what
Oh,
do I
shit.
do? Yeah. So then I'm like, I'm gonna go to racetrack. It's down the street. Drive down the racetrack. Like, who knows what my blood sugar what was at that point. I grabbed 2 Powerade Zeros and a Quest bar, and I fucking drank. Yeah, cold and
They
sweaty.
went down probably like in a couple seconds.
Dude, I drank them so fast. I think, dude, that Powerade Zero. I think we this is an episode topic, but we'll just hit on it now. A diet soda or a Powerade Zero or like a Gatorade Zero after you get off cardio. I mean, even like a real cold bottle of water just
Amazing.
fucking hits different than like anything you can ever fucking experience. Another thing about cardio and going back to the topic we were talking about, like, I mean, man, like when you're on prep, like you spend some time on that treadmill or you spend some time on that Stairmaster or whatever cardio machine, you're spending time alone. And, like what I was going to say was like, I don't know how you know what is the next right thing or what the real, like what your heart is telling you to do as being like the path to follow. But you have a lot of time to sit there and think about that and sweat it out while you're on that cardio machine. And like the other thing with prep is like you start cutting out calories and stuff like that, and you start to really see where your energy is going towards,
Yeah.
So what I like come to find out is like prep teaches me like other things other than just like, oh, I'm getting shredded. Like it teaches me like, dude, I have like this character defect to where like I joke too much, like I spend a lot of energy on making up these dumb fucking stories, or I spend a lot of energy on getting upset, or I spend a lot of energy on worrying about what someone else is thinking, or I spend a lot of energy, with this person or chasing this person that doesn't have like the same reciprocation, or I spend a lot of energy at this job that, that I don't really see a future with, or like, or like, so I start to become very aware of like where my energy is going on prep. And, it's almost like, cause you're almost fasting. So like, I think in like a fasted kind of state like that, you're able to kind of turn off the noise and really get clear and get through the fog of what is actually serving you. And then as you remove those things and you kind of go towards what actually makes you fulfilled, that's how you find your path. And that's how you kind of goes back to the mentality of a bodybuilder is you figure it out and you refine it and you remove what doesn't work and you keep in what is working,
Yeah. See, I feel like I have moments of clarity like that in prep. I feel like
sometimes I'm brain dead though.
The majority of the time the majority of the time, all I care about is the show. I don't care about anything over here, that person, this person. I just care about the show. 90%
Do you think
of the
trend
time.
gives you like a tunnel vision? Like once you start the trend, like you're like this, like you, like this is a little bit like of a vignette to where like, I feel like that. Like, I mean, I was on 350 milligrams of trend, like, which is I think 350 is a pretty significant dose. I think you need,
I agree.
150, 200, I don't know if I need much more than that.
even in that trend like tunnel vision, like I'll have moments of clarity, like 10% moments of clarity, like you were talking about,
Yeah.
where like I can see, like I have a completely different perspective on my life, what
Uh-huh.
I fucked up, what I did good. But
Hmm.
then they're only brief moments. And even though I have it for a second, like I've got this moment of clarity, it'll immediately go to, all right, back to the show. And then I lose
Yeah.
all that until it comes up again. So it's like those moments are
Yeah.
fleeting. But when you have those, it's not like any other time of the year where you have that clarity for those few seconds. It's weird.
Yeah. 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 Those are man, I mean, when you get moments like that, it's like oh man, it's a refreshing feeling because um yeah, it's like very easy to get locked in on the show and um like yeah, I mean people say like well trend will make you kind of cold and stuff like that and like dude, I don't give a fuck about
Yeah,
anything.
I
like
agree. I'm the same
like
way.
nothing is standing in my way like like that I think that's what was one thing that's so good about trend is like you can not even sleep that night, because like you got insomnia or whatever. Your just mind is going so much that you're like, oh, I didn't fucking sleep. Got to go do 30, 40
How
minutes
to
of
do cardio.
cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just is what it is. I don't know the whole science behind it, but with trends relationship with like cortisol and blocking like cortisol, um, I think it I think it makes like stress bounce off you, or you just blunts your feeling for stress.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't like.
At the same time, it makes me like hyper aware of things that upset me, though.
Yeah,
Like,
like what I think it is. It's like I think this is like so not science. I don't know. Maybe it is science, but like I think you metabolize stress in some way,
sure.
And I think what trend does is it like puts a shield on you so the stress hits you, but it like bounces off you, but your body still thinks like we need to still run our process of metabolizing that stress because it was
Yeah,
a but wait, there's this trend in place. And that's what kind of blocked it, but your body still has its like need or desire to metabolize it in somehow. Like, I mean, they say like stress like causes cancer, like stress causes this, like, you know, I mean, stress, like if you're stressed, your cortisol is going to shoot up. Cortisol shoots up. It's going to dump glucagon into your blood, and glucagon is going to release carbohydrates from the liver. So you're going to have a higher glucose level. If you're chronically stressed, right, you can
yeah,
trigger diabetes through chronic stress, right?
absolutely.
So it has an effect on the body. So we metabolize stress like through cortisol and stuff like that. I just don't know the whole reality and or the whole science behind it, but I don't know. I got my brain
I
thinking
have
about
read
that.
different things. I don't know the mechanism, but I know trend does change your brain chemistry.
Yeah, no, I've heard that too, and I've also like read about like trend and Alzheimer's and things like that.
Yeah,
I mean, I know someone who was on trend for like 3 years, bro.
that's tough,
I'll
dude.
tell you what though, dude, like fucking most disciplined person I fucking know. Like
Really?
this was Rob, right? So this is the dude, he's deaf. Um that I lived with for like I lived with him for a year and a half. And I can tell you he's fucking disciplined. Like to the point where like like he hadn't even done a show at this point. Every meal was clean. Once a week or twice a week he would do like a Quest pizza, like a pretty clean cheat
Okay.
meal. And then it would be back to like his regular 4 or 5 meals usually. And he was eating food. He wasn't having like shakes and stuff like that. He was having real food and sweet potatoes, avocado, salmon,
Yeah.
ground
Good.
turkey, chicken. Like those were pretty much his proteins. And then he'd do like rice. But yeah, disciplined as fuck. Or he'd do like a smoothie, and he would do like he's deaf, so he'd fucking leave the blender running for like 20 minutes on accident.
Oh no.
And like, yeah, he was so disciplined, but he was on trend for like 200 milligrams of Tren E for like as long as I knew him. And I feel like I couldn't dude, like I mean I plugged in the trend the other week, and I was just getting the acid reflux from it, and I felt like it was sort of affecting my sleep a little bit, even on 10 milligrams
Okay.
a day. Um, but I also like didn't want to keep pushing the trend just because it's like I want to use the trend when I want to use a trend. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, what is a priority right now is to like try to like maintain leanness and like, nutrient partitioning. Like I have like, the insulin for nutrient partitioning, and I'm taking berberine and, the glucose disposal agent, it has alpha lipoic acid. Do you take any of that? Do you take the
I
first
do. Yeah.
attachment one?
Yeah. It's a combination of berberine, fenugreek, cinnamon,
Yep.
alpha lipoic acid, and then I also
Uh-huh.
take chromium and vanadium by itself,
Yeah.
and that really helps. Even without insulin, that helps keep my blood sugar low.
Yeah, so I mean that's what's in I'm taking Revive glucose, and that's what's in that. How do you dose that? Do you take it
Uh,
every meal?
One
Or
pill with each meal. Yeah. So the dose is 5 pills a
yeah.
day, but I end up taking six, one with each meal.
Yeah, that's how I've understood you're supposed to run that too. So I would take like 2 or 3 sometimes, like with my bigger meals, but
Hmm.
I think yeah, the best way, because I think berberine doesn't last very long in the system, is to just constantly take it, you know. So I've switched to that. But uh yeah, so I pulled the trend for that, and um
You were doing acetate.
yeah, I mean I've always pretty much ran acetate. Um but I've ran Tren for a little bit, like, but every time I run like Tren in an off season, like I just like I don't see I feel like it's like chasing two squirrels. Like it's like I feel like it's really a contest prep drug.
I agree.
Not like Masteron. Like I see people using Masteron. I can see the legitimacy behind using Masteron. I think it leans um more towards a prep, but I can see like running Masteron with Deca, right? Like keeping something dry,
I've
keeping
done that
estrogen.
before.
Yeah, keeping estrogen more in check. Like I can see that running an anabolic versus running an Arimidex, because I'm gonna actually get some gains off an anabolic. Now I'm not gonna get any gains off of a Arimidex. I'm
Yeah.
gonna affect my lipids. You know, so that's where I see that. But like try and like what else can I really do with that? Um, I think like if you're towards the end of an off season, or you're trying to clean things up, I
Yeah.
could see it sprinkled in to like let me throw in trend for a week, and let me see what my blood sugars are. Let me see what my strength does. Let me see if I can break through a plateau. Let me give it a week or 2 weeks, and like at a low dose, and see where if this applies. But like being early into the off season, I feel like it's almost trying to like go backwards at a certain point, because right now like it's time to push.
Yeah.
And if I'm like stepping backwards, like it's good to like maintain insulin sensitivity. Like at a certain point, like you have to push the food in order to grow, and then once you grow that new tissue, now your insulin sensitivity improves. Like
Yeah.
I mean, what have your blood sugars been eating 1,000 carbs on your high days and having 3 high days? Like, have they consistently stayed under 90, or have you had a period where they're like, oh, 95, ooh, 105
Still
this morning?
twist up, but they're always under 100. Like before I eat a
Uh-huh.
meal, so I'm pretty happy with that given the amount of carbs.
Yeah, what about
Um,
first thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, it's usually like high 80s, low 90s,
Uh-huh.
usually, depending on how late I had my last meal.
Yeah, and how well you sleep and stuff.
Yeah, but if I
Do
get a
you
good night's
hydrate
sleep,
before that?
not before I take it. Now I know there's some like there's the dawning effect that can skew your blood glucose first thing in the morning, and if you drink like a liter of water, that can help like mitigate that.
I drink like a good like 24 ounces, and then like have a little bit of salt, and then I'll check the glucose
Have you done it like
in
before
the
and then
morning.
after that and seen a difference?
No, but I should try that tomorrow, or I'll try it
Yeah, I'd be
Monday.
interested.
Yeah, after a high carb day, I'm expecting my blood sugar to be a little bit up tomorrow, so I'll check it Monday. This morning it was 88, so that's a good
That's good.
spot.
Perfect, dude.
It was like 86 the other day, so it's in a good spot,
Especially on GH. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, monitoring it. And you have you ran GH without insulin?
No,
Never? You always ran
never.
insulin with GH?
Yeah, the first time I started GH, it was with insulin.
Okay,
Coincident.
yeah. I mean, the first time I ran GH, I was no insulin, and I think I was also taking Deca too. I was taking Deca, Proviron, GH, and test, and dude, I was ripping through fucking food. Like
Really?
I was keeping it low fat. Like I was probably having like I would have like one red meat meal a day, and I would have like a tablespoon or yeah, like 2 tablespoons of almond butter
Mm-hmm.
and maybe an egg or two. So I'd have like 1 or 2 meals with, or maybe 3 meals with fat, and the other 2 or 3 meals without fat. Um, and I was like waking up with ab veins, dude. Like,
Really?
yeah, like
What
I
was
was
your
waking,
dose?
and but I was also sweating, like puddles of sweat at night.
Oh shit.
I was eating like 500 carbs. I first started on like 3 IU, so I was taking one and a
Okay.
half in the morning, and then I took one and a half post workout, and I would wait to eat, and then I bumped to 4. And dude, I was ripping through fucking like 500 grams of carbs, and like losing weight. I like
That's
have you
fun.
ever yeah, and I was sweating like puddles at night, dude. Like I would wake up and the bed would be soaked. Have you ever had like extreme night sweats or anything?
Oh yeah.
Is that a
You really have to change the sheets after that.
yeah, like you have to wash the sheets every fucking day.
Yeah.
And then like the actual bed, like the mattress is like sort of wet. Like what the
Yeah. So you're
fuck?
kind of, well,
How
yeah, I was
much
gonna
of
say,
how is all this water coming out of my body? And I was
and you're
on that.
still
I
getting
mean,
up every like hour to pee too. On top of that.
I think I was out the entire night, or maybe I'd get up
Oh really?
like once to pee.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd get up about once, and but this was like an off season. This wasn't like a prep thing, and but I was just ripping through food. Once I added insulin to GH, like I don't get that same. I do get a fat loss effect, but not the same as just GH on its own.
Okay. It's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I might experiment with that again, but I also want to just keep the blood sugars in check too. Um,
Were you measuring your blood sugar at the time of just running GH?
no,
Okay.
no. Yeah, see, like that was another thing, man. I didn't really fucking know about that at that point, but now like I do. But I did know that to keep it away from food,
Oh, okay.
because
Good.
at least that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Like, like dude, there's people out there that don't know how to like Google shit.
Yeah. I know. And they'll just kind of
Uh,
guess at their dosing protocols.
hmm Well, yeah. Or they'll say I'm taking 3 cc's of this. Like,
Oh,
well, how many
God.
milligrams is it? Like, how many milligrams is it? Levi is scared to use insulin. Currently using test Primo NPP and HGH first time. That's a pretty solid cycle right there, man.
Yeah.
You might not need
I would think
insulin. I mean,
insulin's like a later on
I
type
almost
drug.
feel like I have the flu just up to 4 IU 5 days ago. I mean, that can also depend on your dosages of like certain things.
If you feel fluish, I would look at test dose first.
Yeah, I mean the people there is something called like test flu. Uh, I don't know. I would research that and just see what your test dosage is. Um, I would probably ask you what your whole entire stack is. Um, how much test are you running? How much Primo, NPP? How often are you injecting? Um,
I definitely feel
for
like there's a limit to how many total milligrams you can run. Like, it's unique to every person, but like, if we could run unlimited amounts, everyone would be running 10 grams and would be, a freak.
yeah,
But there's a certain limit where
you're
you
gonna hit a
can't
ceiling
cross.
where you're gonna hit like a flu like symptoms.
Yeah.
What's the highest amount of tests you ever ran?
Me,
Yeah.
1750.
Oh fuck, dude. That's crazy. I
Now
ran like 800
I feel
before.
really
I
good.
felt great. Yeah, no,
I feel
I
really
felt
good on
pretty good.
1500 though.
Yeah.
on 1500, I feel really good. But 1750, I started to get lethargic. I felt like the low back pumps were crazy. I was like bloated. And just the difference in like 250 milligrams, I just pulled that one shot, and at 1500 is like magic.
How often do you inject? Like
Every
even
day.
a long ester? Every day?
Yeah, I microdose I mean, it's not technically microdosing because it's like a hefty dose, but I'll break up my gear where I inject everything every day, just smaller amounts.
Are you doing intramuscular or sub-Q?
Intramuscular. I've tried sub-Q. The first shot I did got like knotted up and inflamed, so I was like, fuck it, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, well, I did sub-Q all prep actually. Like, cause
Did you really?
I was doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday at first I had test, Mast E, and I think that was it for the beginning.
We're using an insulin pen?
No, yeah, I would, but like, dude, it takes forever to load an insulin needle. So, and I don't want to backload it because I got an infection one time doing that. So, what I would do is I would take a 25 gauge 1-inch needle. I cut the cap off and then just put the cap back on. So it's a 1/2 inch now.
Okay.
And then, I'd pull with a jawing needle and everything like that. And I would do like the thing is my shoulder, like for some reason, this will twitch. Like if I'm just standing, like it'll just like spasm.
Really?
I don't know what it is. But like, yeah, I stopped pinning my delts because like, I don't know, dude, that fucking spasm's weird. And like, if you have a needle in you and like it twitches, it's the weirdest feeling. Like, I just didn't want to do that again. So I was like, all right, can I pin sub Q? I researched like, can I just pin sub Q? And then we added Tren in, and I'm like, well, I don't want to take Tren. Like, I was on my prep in 2021, I was doing intermuscular shots every day where I'd pin shoulder, glute, side of the glute, like the hip area, the ventral glute, maybe quad, but I didn't really like pinning quads too much. And then I just switched to sub Q to where I could pin like it's like shallow intramuscular because it's still about a 1/2 inch. But I'll even pin like the top of like I'll pinch some fat on my like thigh and just grab, just stick the needle in and shoot it under the skin.
Okay.
And there are some spots, like if I go on the top of my quad, like where my hip flexor is, and I pin there, I would do that after a leg day because, like, all right, well, I'm not going to be squatting, so I'm not going to be like moving this area. But if I did it last week and then I went and did bent over barbell rows in the Smith machine, and like my belt was like digging into it, and I was like, fuck, dude. Like, but like everywhere else, like I didn't get any like real pain. So I was happy with that. And yeah, doing everyday injections was just steady. Now, Levi said he's on 600 primo, or 600 tests, 600 primo, 300 NPP. If you're feeling like flu-like symptoms, I would probably switch to daily dosing. Sometimes it's just like how much your body is like trying to process at once. That could be, the cause of it. And I've done sub-Q pinning daily. Injecting like more than I pinned Primo, 2 mLs of Primo yesterday. My Primo is 100 milligrams per milliliter. Do you have 100 or 2? Are you taking Primo at all?
Not right now. I was on my rebound. It was 100 megs per ml.
I have Primo that's 100, and then I have some that's 150. I haven't tried the 150 yet though, but I have had 200 milligram Primo, and that shit is painful.
Yeah, I mean, you see shit like test 500. Like people are trying to like pin that. Like you're asking.
Oh, it's a great deal. It's a great fucking deal, dude. They got
it looks good on the price list.
Yeah, wait till you fucking inject that shit. Unless you want to get a bottle of like a carrier oil and cut it, like go ahead.
That's one thing I would look at for Levi. Maybe if the daily injections don't help, maybe look at switching sources because some of these sources use different carrier oils. And you might be getting a reaction like cottonseed oil versus grapeseed oil. That could cause.
Yeah, you know what? That might also have some legitimacy to that too. That it could be the carrier oil. You might be allergic to that. I don't, man. I don't. Yeah, especially with the MPP leave, I would probably do that daily. it's so fast acting. Like for me, if I pin NPP tonight, I will.
be fuller tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know, man. NPP creeps up on me. Like I just started taking
Okay.
Deca. I started 200 milligrams of Deca. So, but and like it's a long ester. Primo's a long ester. Test C's a long ester. So I pinned a 2 ml shot of Primo yesterday. So 200 milligrams of Primo. So I'm on 600 Primo. I backed down the test to 400, and then I added the Deca in at 200. So the whole shot was like 2.7 mLs. Dude, I hate injecting that much like oil
So,
at one. Like trying to fucking turn and like pin a fucking
the
barrel of
plunge,
fucking
you're like
oil.
your fingers like back
Yeah, it's
here
like I don't
on a
reach, like
plunger.
it doesn't reach that far, and I got to keep this thing steady because you start digging around in your glute, like
Yeah.
you're just creating scar tissue, you know. Yeah, I and like the thing is, like NPP is so I feel like it's too volatile for me. Like it's just it's too fast acting. Like I
Yeah.
think I don't know, but I'm also only one shot in. I'm only what 60 or what? I'm taking 200 of Deca. I'm one shot in, so I'm like 75 80 milligrams
Mhm.
into it so far, not even what 65. um and yeah, you said, yeah, I'm doing 2.8 mLs 3 times a week, never used as much. I would just
It's
break
a
that
lot.
up, just
Yeah,
divide
it's a big
that
step.
to, I mean 2.8 times 7, or well times 3, and then just divide it by 7,
You'd
which
be pinning like a little bit less than 1 cc every day if you shot daily.
so much easier. And it's just like mentally, like pinning 2.8 is a lot. Like you're pinning 1.2 if you were to do that daily. That's so easy. You can draw it up with an insulin needle. What I do is just draw up with a regular like 3 ml syringe, and use a drawing needle and then a 25 gauge. I cut the cap off, put half the cap back on. Now it's a ½ inch instead of 1 inch, and it's super simple. I mean, especially the sub Q. Like if I had to pin everything intramuscularly, like I don't know, man. That shit's, or if I had to pin 2.8 like cc's of oil every day. I mean, you're not on a ton of gear. You're on what 1,300 or 1,500 milligrams. That's pretty standard, I would say. Like, you know, you're at that's a pretty sensible like dosage. I would say 1,500 milligram total anabolic load per week, and you're on GH2, so like you're gonna get a lot out of that. And I would just probably you know spread it out throughout the week. I mean, with the NPP, also I would advise you to just keep the estrogen in check. 600 primo, 600 test. It should probably keep your estrogen in check, the primo. But what about you? Does primo or does masteron like knock your estrogen down? Have you ever gotten blood work on it and seen that it's
Yeah,
knocking
so
it down?
my estrogen usually tests kind of high, but I don't
Yeah,
get any estrogenic side effects from it. Um,
me
so
too.
I
So like I just got blood work and my estrogen said it was high, and I'm on primo, and I'm like, well, is the primo fake? But then the other thing is, just like I'm in the shower, like why is there so much fucking hair? Like, where is
yeah.
this hair coming from? It's falling out, and it's like that doesn't happen on Masteron. That doesn't happen. That only happens to me on Primo, to where like I notice like good bits of hair coming out of my head.
I actually think a slightly higher estrogen level is actually good. Is actually
Well,
what you want.
yeah, and that, like I've always like shied away from like taking too much like aromasin
Yeah,
or Arimidex, because I knew, well, one, estrogen is going to resensitize the IGF-1 receptor. So it has something to do with that. And then also estrogen's neuroprotective, so it protects your brain, and it's cardioprotective. It helps keep your lipids in check. So if you're blasting anti-estrogens, um, you're going to see more neurotoxicity, and you're going to see the lipid panel get skewed. However, my lipid panel was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Let me pull it up.
Yes. Now, see,
And
my
this is
first couple
after
years,
prep too.
I did the opposite. Well, I mean, my first cycle was actually through an HRT clinic, and they prescribed me. It was 200 a week of test, and listen to this: it was a half mig of Arimidex every day.
Yeah.
On 200 mgs of test.
Holy shit.
My estrogen was like.
When was this? What year was this?
2017.
Yeah, so like a lot of the like, and if anybody watches this who's like been through HRT clinics and stuff like that, or goes to an HRT clinic and they're prescribing you Arimidex, that's okay. But like what they used to do back then is they thought estrogen was like the worst thing for you because estrogen's going to carry some water weight. It's going to you can spike some blood pressure, but it has a lot of protective effects, and it's good for your well-being. It's good for your libido. It's good for cardio and your brain. So we don't really want to like kill estrogen. We want a healthy level of estrogen. But that's what they kind of used to do is the HRT clinics were just like estrogen's a demon, like get rid of it. So
and I feel like they wanted to sell more.
And they want to sell you, and then they want to sell you an HCG.
Oh, so yeah, I was forced to take that too.
Yeah, and if you're taking HCG, like it's gonna increase all your hormone production. You're gonna get, that too. So like they don't want to give you gyno, so they're gonna give you, more of that to, offset possible gyno symptoms and other, estrogenic effects. But dude, if you're on fucking cycle, like, or if you're on a TRT dosage, I don't think you need HCG. Like, if you're gonna come off and you want to have kids, yeah, but like, or if you're trying to have kids while you're like on, yeah, but like, if you're not planning to have kids, HCG, not throw it away, but there's no need for it. Like, you're telling your HPTA to do two different things. You're telling it one with test to turn it off. You're telling it with HCG to turn it on. I think that sounds like more screwy than just taking tests and then, if you need to come off, like come off, but come off when it's time to come
medical
off.
I heard is like, because let's say the thing the doctors are saying is it's going to increase your natural test production, right? That's what they're going to say.
So you have your natural test going and you have this like synthetic test going.
But it's like throwing more sand on the beach. Yeah, there's more sand on the beach, but it's so insignificant. What's the point to it? Yeah.
The other thing is like I actually have heard that HCG like really boosts your libido.
I never felt that. I never felt a difference.
I don't know. I only took it once. I only PCT'd once and never again, never looked back. Did you ever PCT?
No, I never did.
Dude, my first PCT, I got emotional. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah. So I did my first cycle. I got my first cycle from NAPS. I took like tests and I took a little bit of Anavar at the end. 500 milligrams of test. I had Aromacin. I loved it, man. Fucking nostalgic. Awesome first cycle. Like, I put on 10 pounds like in the first week. It was probably all water, but I was like, damn, I blew up. Like, I looked at how am I already making these gains? Like, but it was awesome. And then I came off. I took Clomid, Novadex, and I took like a shot of HCG.
That's a solid PCT.
Yeah. So I took Novadex and Clomid for like a month. The Clomid, I think, like really fucked me though. Like I had like three moments or 3 or 4 moments, 3 that I can recall where the emotions just got me. I was like, it was December 2017, and I like me and my ex-girlfriend, we went to this really cute spot in Florida. It's called the Caribbean Corp Boutique Hotel. Like, I don't know what we went out there for. It's just like a day trip. I love that about Florida is that like you could get away. You could do like a staycation. Like, you can get away somewhere. Like, you can go to like another city in Florida, find a cool Airbnb and B&B, find like a cool, like cute hotel. Like, there's like cool things you can do, and Florida kind of has it all like that. Like, but anyways, like, yeah, we go stay at this place and super nice. And then like go to the beach, like at like 11 midnight and like go look at the fucking stars. Have you ever been on the beach at night and see what the stars look like? It's so fucking dark. Dude, it felt like they were falling fucking down on me. And I was just like, Bro, I got so fucking like overwhelmed like with emotions, and it was just like, whoa. Another time, like I had deja vu. This was like Thanksgiving. So yeah, this was sometime between like Thanksgiving and like um December. I had deja vu to where it was like we were sitting on the couch, and then for this split moment, like it felt like I was like looking at us from above on the couch, and then I was like back in my own body, and I was just like, what the fuck, dude?
Oh,
Crazy.
shit.
And I remember people saying, like reading on forums and stuff, and like reading about Clomid, saying it can cause like some certain vision effects or something like that, and it can make
Yeah,
you
I've
feel
heard that.
emotional. And I was like, I guess this is what it's what it is. I think, man, I think there was another time where I like was going to bed at night and just thinking letting my head go into a loop of like, this is all like just one big fucking, we're going into a black hole. Like, like what is life? Like, and then I was like, whoa, 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 okay. Like I had to pull myself out of that little loop,
Yeah,
and then like, all right, like calm the fuck down and like realize that I'm on Clomid. And but yeah, there was a few instances,
do
and
you
that's
ever
not
get
why.
super emotional on prep?
Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, on those hard days, you
Yeah, it's
know,
weird because like we were talking about, the trend kind of removes your emotions, but
uh
I do
huh,
have spurts of like
clarity,
insane like emotional moments where like
uh huh,
I'll watch a movie and like a scene that should not make me cry, I start crying.
yeah,
It's like the craziest thing.
yeah. I don't know, like I gotta like bring myself there. That's the thing, man. I have this analogy. Uh, I think this would make sense to a lot of people. I think this would make sense to girls especially. For guys to come or for guys to bust a nut, it's like getting a girl to cry. Fucking easy. Like get cry just because it's like, oh, like this fucking cute thing happened. I fucking cried. Like, oh, you're so hot. She like gave me like a brush on my leg and I just fucking, whatever. And then for guys to cry, it's like getting a girl to come. Like it's hard. Like we don't cry
Yeah,
very often. That's just the way we're set up. So it's like we have that like yin and yang of
that's a pretty good analogy.
yeah, I think that's pretty, that's pretty I would say it's just as difficult, to get a girl to come is like getting a guy to cry. To get a guy to come is like getting a girl to cry. Yeah. I think that'll make
That's deep.
sense. You should
Yeah.
share this little clip and just see who agrees.
Yeah. You said yes or no,
uh
do you agree?
yeah. But no, I mean like yeah, there's been some like moments like on prep where like I have to put myself kind of there. Or there have been times where it's like I remember my prep in 2019, like I was on the treadmill, Anytime Fitness, no one in the gym, late, just me, like fucking grinding. And I like got into like meditation that way because I would just try to like get the fuck out off like my mind off that effect. I'm on the treadmill,
Mhm.
like just stepping and stepping. It's kind of meditative because you're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And you can sit there and like count down the time and be miserable about it and suffer through it, or you could make the most of it. So like yeah, there would be times, and I would even like blindfold myself. I would like take like a bandana and like put it over my eyes because I didn't want to look at the
Mhm.
time anyways. Just wanted to
I
get
always
through
cover
it.
the time if I can.
Yeah, and that just like let me like I would take like deep breaths too. And yeah, dude, it was really actually refreshing because like I think it's a natural thing to like have emotions and cry and like let things out. Um, but I think it's also like a strength to be able to control emotions and to be able to be reason and logic,
Yeah.
um and sound, especially as a guy. Because if we were all just fucking bunch of big crybabies, like, like
Not much would get done.
someone's got to have a grip on things, but, um, and then like I also think like it's also good for a guy to have a grip on things, not to where you're like he's like blocked off, but to the point where it's like, hey, look, like you can cry, like it's like, like I'm not gonna freak out because like like someone crying is like a vulnerable type of thing, like they're letting out emotions and processing things and breathing through things and stuff like that. And, um, you know, I don't know. It's like it'd be funny if every time your girl cried, like you had to cry too. She'd be like, "You fucking bitch, you pussy."
Yeah.
Or, like if like someone's just like your rock, like I think that's probably a good thing
Yeah.
that some people need too. Or it's like every time your kids cried, like if you had kids, like you started
There'd be a lot
breaking
of
down,
crying.
they'd be like, "You're not safe. Like you're not a good parent." Like,
Yeah, you might have them removed from you.
yeah. Oh man. So what else we got, dude? But yeah, uh, like that's okay. So kind of going back to estrogen,
Hmm.
mine was high. It doesn't tell me specifically what it was.
That's
My
interesting.
well, here it says, um, it does. Wait, hang on. Oh wait. Oh no, my estrogen's good.
What was high?
My free test and my
Okay.
test. No,
So both of
estrogen's
them are good.
actually perfect, dude. My estrogen's 29.8 out of 7.6 to 42.6. That's good. That
That's
means
money.
that the primo is actually taking care of
Yeah,
my estrogen. I thought I was estrogen high.
that's perfect,
Because
dude.
I looked at free testosterone 50 and read that as my estrogen, but
Okay.
my estradiol um is 29.8. So that means the primo is actually uh blunting, like
The
the way it
perfect
works.
amount too.
Yeah, so the way primo or masteron or I believe like even EQ, um the way they work, they're not anti-estrogens, but what they do is they compete for the aromatase enzyme.
Hmm.
So they're binding also to the aromatase enzyme. Now um they can't be converted into estrogen, but they can bind to the aromatase enzyme, making it, useless. So less of your test is actually converting into estrogen. So, dude, I might not even need the aromasin.
I would just hold it at this point.
I just ordered some. Well, I have it.
It's
I
never
just
it's
got it.
never a bad thing to have it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good to have. It's 25 milligrams. They're capsules and everything. I have some liquid too. I actually also just got some methyl test and methyl DHT.
Are those injectable or oral?
This is an oral.
That's the,
It it's called
is that the old M1T?
I think so. I think it's like methyl. I don't know if it's methyl 1 testosterone or if it's just methyl testosterone. But it has Cialis and Viagra in it too.
Really?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a sex like thing, I guess.
Okay.
I was like, if I'm gonna be taking DECA, I'm gonna just keep this on hand just in
It
case.
would probably
Which
be wild as a pre-workout too.
I took it pre-workout today. I don't know. I usually don't like if I were to ever choose one or the other, I would choose Cialis.
Yeah. That's what I do,
Cialis.
Cialis, morning of the show.
Do you get any stomach issues from it or anything?
No,
Mm-hmm. Do you think it helps you get a good pump?
I do. I've done it. I've experimented with it pre-workout,
I've
like the
gotten
last
great pumps
couple
with it
weeks.
pre-workout,
Yeah,
and it will
I like it.
last. Like the thing is, it will last like a day and a half.
Yeah. So you
Like you
can
could wake up the
conceivably
next day
take
and
it
be
like
like, this
every
is
other
still
day if
great.
you're working out.
I mean, I know people take it as like a prophylactic type thing, like
Hmm.
for like arteries and stuff like that, because it helps keep your arteries like more flexible versus like
Lowers your blood pressure too.
yeah, I like 5 milligrams a day or something like that. Um, I don't know. I'm not really there yet to really need to be taking Cialis every day. If I had a girl,
You might
I
start.
would. Yeah. No, actually, check this out, dude. The reason why I first got on test was because I'm gonna take you guys down memory lane here. If anybody remembers this or was around it, try this shit back in the day. Um, DMAA.
Yeah, and
You
pre-workouts. The
remember the
old
pre workout?
craze.
Yeah. So, dude, they used to like there was a supplement store near me in Orlando called Bob's Nutrition. when I first moved to Florida. And like one day I was going to go to GNC. I was going to get Gold Standard Optimum Nutrition pre-workout. That's what I wanted. I wanted a good pre-workout. I go to GNC. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just go to Bob's. So I'll go to Bob's Nutrition, see if they have it. I'll go there first. Maybe they have something cool. I walk in. I'm like, hey, do you guys have Optimum Nutrition Gold Standard pre? They're like, oh, you don't really want that. Here, you want this. This is like Adderall. And I'm like, oh, Adderall. Like, do I want Adderall? Like, well, it's a pre-workout, so it's not really Adderall. And then he's
You
like,
remember
yeah,
what it was? What the name
yeah,
of
it was
it?
Hemo Shock.
Hemo Shock. Okay.
Yeah, now I
Was
can
that
pull up.
iPulse?
I'll pull up what
I'm
it
wondering
looked
if that was
like.
iPulse.
I'll show you two that I took. Oh, this is Hemo Shock. So Hemo Shock. Now, look, nowadays it's not the same. Okay, so if you buy this, I don't think it's going to be what it was. So here's what it was: Power and Endurance Complex. We got create. Can you see the screen, Jimmy?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so we got shit. We got okay. It's a proprietary blend: Power Endurance Matrix or Complex, creatine dimalate, beta alanine, 2.5 milligrams. Or so 2,500 milligrams, right? The clinical dose for beta alanine is 3.2. So it's underdosed in that, but who gives a shit? You're not taking this pre-workout for tingles. I don't remember getting any tingles from it, but it is what it is. L-arginine and whatever NCG is, I don't know. But then caffeine and then 1,3-dimethylamine. So that's DMAA. Maybe the caffeine's dosed at 200 because usually the higher amount is dosed first and then the lower amount's going to be dosed last. So probably 200 caffeine and then 600 of DMAA or 60 of DMAA. And then electrolytes, we got magnesium succinate.
I think I still have some samples packs of a pre-workout with DMMA in it.
Yeah, how old is it?
Couple years. It was oh man, Blackstone Labs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think I still have some of those. Actually, I'll have to look in my closet.
Yeah. HemoShock V2. Phil's Discount Nutrition. Let's see what's in Hemo. Oh man, this is probably bullshit. The thing is, dude, like HemoShock or DMAA, like these pre-workouts, they fucking worked. They were really good. Here's the other one. This one fucking made bubbles. Like it fizzed.
Oh shit!
It's called Miami Nights pre-workout, dude. This
Did it kind of have like a battery acid taste to it too?
kind of, man. I
The
don't
ones
know.
that are flavored absolutely horrible are the ones that you know are going to be
dude,
good
it was
shit.
gross. It was like a blue tropical storm.
Ugh.
So here it is. It was this Miami Nights out of stock. And this shit, is this it? No, dude. This is it. Here's the ingredient list. Let's look at the ingredients. If we could read it. Could barely read it. Hang on. But this was it, dude. This stuff was made in someone's bathtub in Florida.
Oh yeah.
Guaranteed. But it fucking worked. Like if you wanted to be in the gym for 3 hours and it felt like 30 minutes had went by and you were sweating your ass off, but you're like, as soon as I drank this, as soon as I had a sip, my music sounded like amazing. It was so euphoric, like the most euphoric, like, and it worked literally instantly. As soon as you took a sip, it worked. But why I mention that is because this shit also fucking, when you take stimulants like that, it'll make your dick not work. And I was dating this chick at the time who I met on Tinder. And she was pretty hot. And like, I don't know what like the statute.
Did you know it caused this effect at the time before you took it?
No, I didn't know, but I started losing my fucking wood. And yeah, I started losing my wood and like Yeah. So long story short, she now does porn. Well, at least one time I stumbled upon her porn.
That's funny.
Yeah. No, I don't watch porn. That shit will fucking demotivate the fuck out of me, and like I'll just want to go eat chips and lay down and like do nothing if I'm watching porn. I won't make
Forget
a podcast.
bodybuilding at that point.
Yeah, yeah. So and like I think part of the reason why I don't watch porn is because like if you also just watch too much porn, you're probably not going to be able to perform when it's actually time to perform. But so yeah, like then my dick didn't work, and then like okay, like we stopped dating, but it wasn't really directly because of that. It probably had something to do with that because literally like my shit didn't fucking work. Like, but anyways, like months later, like fast forward, let's go like 3 months later, like dude, this shit still like what wasn't working, and to the point where it was more like a head thing because I had stopped taking the pre-workout at that point to where it was like in my head, I believe
I've had
there
that
was
before.
like yeah, so you're mentally like thinking like oh it ain't gonna work, and then like yeah no
Yeah.
shit ain't gonna work because you don't think it's gonna work, you know, and that can fuck with you. um and then um I don't know how. Okay, so yeah, then I was like maybe my testosterone's low. Didn't go get blood work. Didn't do any like pre-cycle blood work or anything like. Which like yeah, you should probably do that, but I didn't do that when I first like. I just started wanting to learn about like steroids and stuff because I was like
Mhm.
getting into the gym and I was working out and I was beginning to take it more seriously and like, you know, I remember looking in the mirror thinking I want to compete one day. I think I can compete, and I decided to order my first cycle because I was like, I definitely like. I mean, and then I got my, you know, I don't know how I got over it, but I think I got over it before I actually got on my first cycle. But I
Okay.
was like, I'm definitely doing a cycle because if it is just a testosterone, one, I'll make gains, and two, like, dick's gonna work,
Problem
guaranteed.
solved. Yeah.
Yeah, so I get a win-win from it. So then, ordered, you know, my test and had a blast with that, and then but yeah, I mean that can be like if anybody has like ED, like you know, with even being a young guy, like chances are it's something in your head or watch like your stimulant consumption or your stress
I was going to say,
or
perhaps, yeah.
yeah, or if you're watching a bunch of porn.
What about in prep? When do you start to lose your sex drive in prep?
Like
Or do you?
guaranteed. Well, I mean, for me, uh probably about 8 weeks out, you
I
know,
was just
like
going to say 8 weeks
yeah.
out.
Yeah, about 8 because it's just go time at that point. I mean, you're dropping the hammer at 8 weeks out, like, you know, but like there are moments too, like in prep, to where like I could get it going, you know.
Really?
But like the other thing is I don't want to. Like
Yeah.
because do you feel like okay, do you feel like if you have sex, say before a leg day, your leg day is gonna be as good?
Yeah, 100%. I
No?
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better?
Sex before any workout, even if it's like, if the workout's in 5 hours from now, I still
Yeah.
wouldn't do it. I still think it's going to have
Yeah.
its effect.
It would have to be like I'd have to like it would have to be post workout. I have a rest day tomorrow, and then it's like, all right, we can get it going.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
even like, I've been to like, years ago when I wasn't as serious into bodybuilding, like I would be supposed to work out and then I would have sex and I'd be like, fuck
Yeah,
working out. You know?
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
just a demotivator and kind of, I mean, I'm sure it's gotta like hormonally, it's gotta like relax you. Like there's
Yeah.
some chemicals it has to release that
So what
relaxes you.
happens? I mean, yeah, what happens when you bust a nut basically is like dopamine like is released. Like you have this buildup of dopamine that your body like you it kind of stores up and then like you're able to and it happens through like completing tasks like if you hit like an extra rep like you're gonna get like your body's gonna kind of produce some dopamine. You go do a chore or like a task or complete something,
Yeah.
your body's getting dopamine. You eat food, your body's kind of building up this dopamine, and then you could release it and kind of experience like the you know like effects of dopamine. You get a bolus of it basically like when you have sex. And then what happens though is as dopamine is released and then it has a crash. What happens then though is prolactin hormone rises. So prolactin will rise after dopamine. They're counterbalancing. So um, that's why people take like cabergoline
Yeah.
you know, because cabergoline's a dopamine agonist and it helps boost up dopamine. But you can have like the reason why caber has a lot of like other nasty things that can come along with it, like dopamine withdrawal syndrome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what happens. And then like another way to boost up dopamine would be P5P. That's probably the healthier way.
I'm not familiar with that.
P5P is vitamin B6. So it's
Okay.
like it's a human form of like what your body can actually absorb of vitamin B6.
Is that pantothenic acid or is that something different?
I don't know. It's like pyridoxal 5-phosphate or
Okay.
something.
Have you ever used caber?
Yeah, I've used it. Yeah, pyridoxal 5-phosphate. Yeah, that's P5P. I've used caber. It has some issues with like they give it to Parkinson's patients, like people with like shaky hands and stuff. Yeah. And they put them on it for like I think on a regular basis, but it can cause some like heart issues. Like I don't know if it like accentuates left ventricular hypertrophy or has something to do with the rhythm of your heart, but it messes with that to some degree, and I don't really fully understand it. So I just really avoid it. Like if I'm like, it's supposed to help with like gyno prevention. But if I'm getting gyno from like a DECA, I'm jumping to P5P first. Or if I'm having like libido issues, I think I understand DECA and I understand like the 19 NORs now to where you don't have to get DECA or have to get DECA dick and two
I've never got that from a 19 NOR.
No, have you ran a lot of DECA?
Yeah, I've ran it as high as like a gram before. Never got that.
How much test?
Probably 1,000 tests. I was matching it 1-to-1 at the time.
Yeah. I mean,
I know some guys that run like.
You might not be a heavy converter to estrogen though.
Yeah, maybe.
So what I understand about like DECA is like you're looking at a balance of hormones. So you're looking at DHT, estrogen. Those are important for sexual function, testosterone, and then like these ratios. So like DECA, like what DECA converts to is DHN, dihydronandrolone. What test converts to is DHT. So if you run enough tests, you'll have enough DHT. However, you're also converting more estrogen at that point. And then like what DECA will do is progesterone will increase based off the ratio of like estrogen that's available, right? So progesterone will kind of match the levels of estrogen. But I think you could be fine just running up like you matching your test to your DECA. But what I find works is, and like what I've never had DECA dick, was running Proviron, like running a DHT with DECA. So you don't have to necessarily increase your test at that point because you're getting DHT. And then by not increasing your test, you're not increasing estrogen. And by not increasing estrogen, you're not increasing progesterone.
I think Proviron might be one of those underrated drugs, period.
Yeah. How much do you like to run? 25, 50?
50 in the last 2 preps I did.
Yeah. Do you ever use it in the off season?
I used it on my rebound for a while. The first 6 weeks. I would consider using it in the off season, like the full blown off season. I think it could be beneficial.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I ran test DECA, Proviron, and GH, and I love that cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was fucking all the time at that point too.
Amazing. This was all season?
Yeah. I was eating like 500 carbs, like waking up, sweating the fucking bed at night, but like still like sexual function was there. Oh, the other thing about Cialis and Viagra, like I always like used to keep Cialis and Viagra on hand just in case. Like that was kind of a mental thing. Like if I had a Cialis, I think that kind of helped me break the mental block of that it's not going to work. It's like, no, I took a Cialis. I have taken 150 milligrams of Viagra before with a girl,
Fuck, dude.
and nothing. Like the thing is, I just wasn't attracted to her.
Really?
But yeah, the thing is, like, took the pants off, and it smells like someone's prepping fish. Like
Tilapia.
it's tilapia. Sounds like tilapia that's been sitting in the trash. Oh, it's fucking gross. Yeah, dude. No, that killed me.
Did you know
I
you
mean,
took 150 megs when you took it, or did you
I
just
did. No, I took
really?
2. Yeah, I was like, all right, I need to make this happen somehow.
Ah, dude.
But and it didn't happen. And then probably a good thing though.
I would have been
Who
scared I would
knows?
have a heart attack or something if I took that much.
I took 150.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like Viagra that much. I think it hits too hard, and I think it like you take 150. Oh, dude, I can tell you another Viagra story. Yeah,
Tell me.
I'll tell you. Okay, so yeah, um, this is a good one actually. So this is like I trained legs the day before,
Okay.
and I did the adductor, and this was like one of the first times I got on the adductor. And then like I had this chick over. This was like in college, and dude, I couldn't fucking like, not that we were gonna have sex anyways, but I took Viagra because I was going through this like thing at that time where like I need to make sure my dick works,
Yeah.
and my dick definitely worked. But like my fucking adductors were so fucking sore that like
Oh no.
I was just in pain, and then like all the blood just rushing like down that area anyways. It
Oh
was just
shit.
like it was terrible. I remember just falling asleep and then waking up and just like I don't know. Is what it is. But like I don't know. I guess see guys, like there's a lot of fucking things that like there's a lot of mistakes you're gonna make with this shit. So
Yeah.
like I want to say like don't be afraid to make mistakes. Um don't let it prevent you from like you can't be scared to like try things. But also like I've done a lot of research too. Like I mean, I
Oh,
can tell you what P5P stands for off the top of my head. Like, like because I've fucking read the research, and I not that I read like necessarily studies. I don't probably dig into enough science as I actually should as some other people out there, but there are people out there on the internet that do dig into the science more. But dig and then dig some more when it comes to information. I'll even do is like read through comment sections on YouTube. I'll like go to forums. If I'm really trying to learn about something, before I pull the trigger and just like put something in my body or make a decision like that, like I'm gonna research it, as much as possible.
yeah.
And there's people out there, like the thing is, like I never wanted to like put out content in relation to like gear and like
Dosing.
like yeah, like dosing and like protocols and like things like that, because like I didn't want to become your go-to guy or the guy that, well, he said this and I did this and this fucked me up, so it's his fault. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like if I did like if you can't take, okay, the other side of the mentality of a bodybuilder is it's your responsibility. It's no one fucking else's. This is on you and you only, you know?
That's one of the best things about it.
Yeah. And that's a freedom. Like that's like it's about you. And when your success is your success, it's your success. And when your failures are your failures, then you just better be able to take them and walk them off and own them. Right?
Yeah. The biggest thing like you said, anything I've ever taken, I've researched. And if I
Mm-hmm.
didn't understand it, I would reach out to someone that I felt like did understand it, and I would get
Yeah.
their opinion on things. I
Yeah. And
wouldn't
I'm
just
not
go
saying like,
blind, buying
mm-hmm.
different drugs and just trying them at, whatever
Yeah.
whatever dosing protocol I thought sounded good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not saying like you can't comment on the video and ask like for feedback or questions or anything like that. Like that's perfectly fine, but like at the end of the day, understand that like, I'm not sticking the needle in your ass, so you're the one who's doing that. So like, it's you and yourself at the end of the day. Uh, or pick up a copy of that.
Yeah, Will Llewellyn's Anabolics.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon. Dave Palumbo, I believe, sells it too.
Yeah, he's
Got
got a
a lot
few
of good
things on
information
his
in there.
site. Yeah. We got a comment from Levi. He said, I think he said this is probably from the DMAA. I sat in my bathroom shower with heart palpitations and jumped at every little noise, made him paranoid as fuck. Did DMAA ever do that for you?
No, I really didn't get any negative side effects from it, to be
I think
honest.
what's around nowadays is DMHA is what you'll see.
Yeah,
And
that's in a
you'll
lot of
see,
the new pre-workouts.
yeah, and you'll see DMAA listed on the label, but what's it's like, I hate to say this and like that this is a reality, but like when they put DMAA on a label nowadays, I've tried them in
You
the
think it's
past,
bullshit?
in the newer ones, it wasn't DMAA,
Yeah,
not from what I remember. And like, you know, when people say like, oh well, like the pharma or the trend hacks or the parable, and it's like it's different. Like
yeah.
maybe it was, you know, maybe it was different than like what we are taking nowadays. Like, you know, yeah, it has the same name. Maybe it is like, you know, but maybe it's the way they made it, or okay, like Pharma GH is this, like, well, you're taking generic, it is GH, but it's not. It's like what the DMAA compare,
Yeah.
you know, it's on the label nowadays, but it's not really what it was. You know, I don't know. As far as I know, like the GH that I take works, the trend that I take works, you know, so I don't know the difference, right?
One thing I heard, and I wish I could give the person credit who said it. I
Hmm.
can't remember who said it, but they were talking about pharma versus generic GH, and they were saying
Oh,
the
we were going to
biggest.
touch on that actually in this episode anyway,
Oh,
so we
okay,
might as well.
perfect.
We just fucking rolled into it on accident.
They were saying like the biggest thing, like the pharma GH, is how they take care of it after they make it. Like the
Hmm.
protocol from taking it from the lab to the doctor's office. That's
Hmm.
the biggest difference. Where generics can be sitting in some person's basement or in some hot truck and kind of degrade over
Degrade.
time. So it's the exact same thing, but just the way they handle it after production is what leads to the difference between pharma and generic.
Yeah, but okay, so the reality is though, like most people are gonna get, even if you're getting a farmer grade pen, you're not going to Walgreens to pick up the farmer grade
Oh
pen.
yeah,
Unless you know an AIDS patient,
yeah,
right? You know, if you know like an AIDS patient or someone who has HIV or like a muscle wasting disease, and they're like, fuck it, I want to just get rid of these. Like,
yeah.
or you know a kid like who's like 13 taking Humatrope. He's like
Undersized.
undersized, and you could
Yeah,
get it from the maybe, but like most of the stuff, like you're getting it from a underground, not necessarily an underground lab, but an
yeah,
underground vendor. So you're having it still shipped over from Turkey. Like I had Sison pens before.
yeah,
Um, that was the first GH I ever ran. I didn't know like to like take it fasted. I was just like three units a day. Take it once, you know, 5 days a week. You know, 5 days on, 2 days off. That was just like the protocol I understood and read. I didn't understand like not taking it with food. You know, and things like that. And you know that's up for debate too. I don't really know about that, but I'll tell you, like if I take GH like in more of a fasted state and I can stretch out that meal to 30 minutes to an hour, I think I get more fat loss out of it that way.
yeah. I agree.
Um, but so my like understanding of like to truly have a real unbiased like um assessment of or comparison of pharma to on you know UGL or generic GH, like I'd have to have a pen from Walgreens, and
Yeah,
I'd have to have, you know, whatever shipped from China or wherever. You know, I mean, the generic GH I get from the US, as far as, you know,
minus
it
the.
might be made in China, but it's, you know, it's domestic.
That was this guy's point though,
Yeah. I
because
mean,
like the
mhm,
pharma that you buy, that most of us are going to buy, is going through the same degrading process that generic is. So
mhm.
unless you can guarantee it's from the pharmacy, he was like saying there's really not that much benefit in paying premium prices for pharma grade GH if you're getting it from like your, average UGL dealer.
Yeah, if you're getting it from like the same um, you know, underground vendor, I think it's probably going to be the same process. I've seen like people like things saying that they ship them on ice or dry ice.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
Now I do have 4 Norditropin pens that I'll use going into my next prep, so we'll be able to kind of see. And when I did get those, they came with an ice pack in it. Who knows if the person just took them out of their basement and threw an ice pack?
Was the ice pack cold though? Like
it was cool.
How fast did it get to you?
He overnighted it.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah. Was it like a dry ice pack or was it a regular?
No, it was one of those like the white ones that turn into like gel. It's like a gel.
But wouldn't it like condensate and like make the box wet?
He had it in like a Ziploc baggie. So it was like the gel pack inside a Ziploc bag. There wasn't any, and then there was like a plastic bag wrapped around it, and then the pens were in another plastic bag. So I didn't notice any condensation, but I guess he took.
Yeah, I mean, you can ship things, I guess, like pretty well, like to where it's not going to like make the box soaking wet, even if you put an ice pack in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point, though. I didn't even consider that.
Do you wait to eat after your GH shot?
For my morning shot, I do.
Are you?
If I would do it at night, I would just do it after the last meal.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really wait.
How are you splitting your GH up?
Right now, I'm doing it first thing in the morning and then pre-workout. So pre-workout is like an hour after my meal. So it's kind of fasted.
Have you checked out that intramuscular? Like, do you think there's any like?
Yeah, someone else. Who the fuck was it? I saw someone else on YouTube talking about intramuscular GH. I think I'm going to try it for my pre-workout shot. Doing it intramuscular in whatever body part I'm training.
I mean, I put it in my chest today.
Did you notice like a difference in the pump or anything?
I don't know, man. I mean, I took 10 units of insulin pre-workout too, so
a crazy pump either way.
Yeah, and I had 200 carbs, but
I think there is some validity to that though. After you sent me that.
Yeah, I've taken IGF DES. Have you ever used any of the IGF?
I have some LR3 in the cabinet here.
Yeah, I used the DES before, and I put it in my shoulders. I put it in my tricep before.
Did you do it now? I read you're supposed to do that actually like intra-workout, like during the workout. Is that what you did?
I think like halfway between the workout, I pinned the other arm.
Is that a pain in the ass to like run into the bathroom like during your workout and pin real quick, or was
I don't know. I did it. I remember doing it once, or I don't know if I was doing it on a regular basis because I think I ran through that vial pretty quick. But I remember pinning like my shoulders and then pinning like my tricep.
Yeah, I got a bunch of bottles really cheap, so I bought like.
I feel like I became like a bitch about like intramuscular pinning because like after my shoulders started twitching, like I was like, all right, I'm not pinning my shoulders anymore. I think my shoulders are like, fuck you. And then I actually was gonna pin. I was gonna start pinning my lats with the GH pre-workout. Yeah. My lat twitched. I'm like, fuck.
I started pinning my lats for the first time this past year, but then I was reading like all these guys that are kind of losing their lats. Yeah, so I fucking stopped. But like my lats looked much thicker when I was pinning them. I'm sure from inflammation, but it really like kind of really helped the look of it. But I was just like, fuck, like I'm worried about the nerve damage, so I stopped pinning them altogether.
Yeah, my first shot of Tren, I pinned in my lats. I was pinning my lats like on a kind of regular basis, and then I pinned Tren, and the muscle spasmed, and I thought I was going to die from a Tren shot. I didn't get the cough, but this was my first time pinning Tren, and I didn't get the cough. But I thought I was, so I was so paranoid about that like I was getting like not night sweats, but like cold sweats, like
from the anxiety of it.
Yeah, dude, I don't get the cough with Tren. If you get
you've never gotten it, right?
Never got the cough. If you get Tren cough, comment below that you get Tren cough or you don't.
I get it terrible, dude.
I've never got it.
Now I noticed certain body parts I pin are less likely to get the cough, which I can't wrap my head around the rationale. The only thing maybe it's like less blood vessels. so it's
Yeah.
less chance of puncturing
Have
a
you
blood
ever pinned
vessel.
like your calf or your quad or your
I have.
trap or like
I've
no?
done calves, quads, glutes,
Thanks, Levi. See you
shoulders,
later,
and
bro.
then biceps and triceps. I've never done chest or trap.
Yeah, the chest seems weird because it's like, all right, I'm going right into my heart.
Yeah,
Like,
Boston Lloyd used to do chest a lot.
yeah,
I've
I
never
mean,
done.
I pin my chest like it's with an insulin needle. It's pretty easy. I mean, I
Yeah,
think there's a pretty good amount of meat there, um, to where you're not gonna like poke a rib, unless you're like a half-inch needle.
one spot I really like doing, but I can't do myself anymore is rear delt.
Yeah, I don't think I could reach. I don't know. Like the way I've pinned my delts before is like you put it on the counter like this, and then now this is soft, and then
Yeah,
just pin.
I think
Now,
that's Nick
okay,
Tajili's protocol, right?
yeah, Nick Trigili showed me that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
are
heard
you
him do
someone that
videos
like
on that.
jabs? Are you someone that jabs the needle? Or
Now,
you,
super slow.
dude? Yeah, I don't. I don't know how people do that. Like just like fucking stick it in. Like maybe that's what I need to do so I don't fucking spasm. But I feel like
What's
that's
fucked
like.
up though, anytime you get a shot at a doctor's office, it's always
Do
jab.
they, do they do that?
Yeah, like if
I
I've
just go over to the spot, line it up, pin. Like like what also helps is if you twist the needle a little bit, and then it will slide
yeah,
through usually like butter. And then if you get a little bit of oil on the needle, actually, it
that's a good
slides in
point.
a lot easier,
Yeah.
versus if it's just a dry needle there.
I think
Um,
though if you jab though, your risk of hitting a nerve. Like I know
yeah,
I think Dave Palumbo was talking about, hitting nerves when you do shots. Like if you go really slow, like the nerves are so like slippery, it's just gonna kind of move the nerve aside if you go real slow with a needle. But if you
yeah,
jab, you're more than likely to kind of puncture that nerve.
catch it, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, like through your glutes, like your upper outer quadrant of your glute, like it's
Hmm.
mostly like muscle tissue. I don't know how much nerve you're actually gonna get in there. Now, if people pin like right in the middle of their glute, they're risking hitting the sciatic nerve.
Yeah.
You're not gonna feel your leg.
Fuck.
Yeah, I would never want to have sciatica. Like that shit seems like it sticks around for a little while.
I've had it for,
Um,
I mean, I don't have it anymore, but I had it for like a year when I injured my lower back for like the whatever, the fifth time or whatever time.
yeah,
Brutal, dude.
yeah. But how'd you do that? Like, what was the
That was when
movement
I
that
hurt myself on the lying leg curl, where I like just felt
you
something
let it
pop.
go?
What's that?
Did you just let it go?
It just over time kind of, no, when I was doing the lying leg curl,
Was this during like a rebound phase at all, or
it
was
was.
this like? So what I think what happens to your body in a rebound phase is that your electrolyte balance just isn't there. Like
Yeah.
you're more likely to spasm and cramp,
Yeah.
in a rebound. I don't know if I read somewhere the other day that trend, like the way it does something with your mineral balance is because I mean all anabolics deal with minerals to a degree, like the flux of minerals and the balance of minerals, um, mineral retention. I don't know the science, dude. I wish I knew the science, but like I noticed that, yeah, like I'll cramp a little bit more. And I think it's because of one, you're putting water back inside the muscle and it hasn't had that type of water in a bit. So the way it holds minerals or something,
Yeah.
I don't exactly know, but yeah, I think that's a prime time to catch an injury is after a prep when your body was at
100%.
least I mean we could at least just look at it like, okay, you're dehydrated, now you're hydrated again, you're refilling out a muscle. Is it going to work the same as it was when it was totally dried out? It's
Hmm.
been used to being dried out for a long time because you've been on low carbs. You're not overly full when you're on show day either. You're stage full. You're not gym full. You're not 2 days post show where you think you look your best full.
No.
And I should bring this on stage. you know.
Yeah, that showed up like this rebound with my blood sugar. Like there's a
Yeah.
certain phenomenon that happens when you're after you're dehydrated where your blood
Your
sugar
blood.
rises.
Yeah. What were you running post show?
Post show, I was running, so it was like 50% total gear. I was just
No, but
testing
like,
primo.
what were your blood sugars though? Like
Oh
running
fuck, dude! So I didn't really. I
check
like
them.
tested my blood sugar. It was 2 days after the show was my first high carb day, and it was like 280. And I was like, that doesn't this was just wrong. So I was like, I'm just gonna retest it again. And then it was like 295.
Did you take insulin between the 280
Dude,
and
I IV'd insulin.
oh my god.
Because, well, first I was like, fuck, like this is bad. So I did 10 units of insulin, just sub Q.
Uh-huh.
And then I like waited a little bit. And
Didn't
then I
feel any
tested
type
it.
of hypo. How many
It
units?
went from 295 to 310, a half hour after 10 units of insulin.
It's like you just
So then I was like,
sugar.
fuck, like, is my insulin pen bad? My insulin pen, rather? So I actually threw that pen away.
Which pen do you use?
Novolog.
Oh, okay. I had those before.
So then I was like, fuck, like, what do I do? So I was like, I remember if you do it insulin intramuscular, it hits your system faster.
Yeah.
So then I did 10 units intramuscular. I waited 15 minutes. I tested again. It was like 320. So it was raising. I did 10 units sub-Q, 10 units intramuscular. I was like, fuck, this is bad. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. So then I did, I remember Roman Fritz talks about.
Is this fasted?
No, this was like one meal in.
Yeah, that's really
So
high.
Roman Fritz talks about IVing insulin. And I'm like super scared of like blood draws, like anything with my veins kind of fucked me up. But I was like, this is like.
It's such a baby needle though, like, you know.
So I did 20 units. I did it IV.
Was it pretty easy?
Yeah, it wasn't as bad.
Don't try that, guys. Don't do that. But,
no.
Yeah.
So I did 20 units IV, and then I tested in like 10 minutes, and it came down to like 260, which is still fucking high, but it went from 325 to like 260.
It's a pretty big drop.
Okay. So then it ended up coming down to like 150. So then I was like, okay. I was just like, all right. I really felt fine at that point. I was super scared because I was worried I wasn't going to get it down.
Yeah, but then you also have like you have 30 units of insulin.
Well, I did 40 total.
Oh, so like I
did 10 sub-Q, 10 intramuscular, and then 20 IV.
Did you just go about eating your high carb day at that point?
No, I went back to the regular diet. So Justin's protocol is 5 high days with a cheat meal, your first 5 days after the show.
So you just wanted to clean it up. You were like, dude, this is going to get messy if I throw in more carbs. Yeah.
So then like Paul Barnett has a video of he had experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
And from your electrolyte balance. So I started doing like an electrolyte powder. I increased my water intake, and I was doing like more walks. And within 3 or 4 days, I was back in normal blood sugar ranges.
Yeah. I mean, even if you don't take a diuretic, like I think you're gonna still do some water manipulation. Like, I'm a proponent of it now, man. I mean, like I know that there's like there's kind of like a thing out there, like, oh, you don't need to cut your water, like, you know, you don't need to do that, this, that, and the other thing. But like, I don't know, man. I think if you want to show up like because there's a fine line. Like if you're dry and dehydrated and you don't have any muscle fullness, like you're actually gonna look soft. But like the right amount of dryness, not that it's pulling from like the sub-Q layer. I think you're also pulling from the muscle too. But I think that there's like a I don't know. Honestly, I think the best diuretic protocol I've ever ran was this past one, to where we took a quarter diazide the night before the show, a quarter diazide at 4 a.m. before the show, a quarter maybe a quarter diazide before prejudging, and then a quarter diazide before final. So 25 milligrams of diazide. And
did you feel flat at all?
No, because we also had water along with this. This was like 10 ounces of water with each diazide. And the meals, you know, like the thing is, like, you have to have someone monitoring this too, because it's probably not more diazide that you need if you've already got it in.
Yeah.
I would say no more than like for my size, maybe no more than 25 milligrams within a 24-hour period. For someone maybe your size, maybe no more than maybe 50, but 50 might be pushing it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think just more is less is more with the over-the-counter diuretics, and I would probably only go with Diazide as far as I know. I'm sure there's other coaches and stuff that know how to use like Lasix and Aldactone and things like that, and you can run it with success multiple times over. But yeah, if I were to ever prescribe anything to like my athletes or anybody, I would say quarter Diazide. Based on their body weight and like height, determine how much water they're actually going to need with that. And then just make sure the food but also like the thing is I had sodium really dialed in going into that. So my
Mm-hmm.
sodium was steady, but it was, 2,000 milligrams a day. So you may need more if, or, I don't know if you need more. Like the thing is, I don't know if you need more Diazide because it's your body's going to hold a certain amount of sodium in the blood
Yeah.
regardless. Right. So I don't know if you're having 5,000 milligrams of sodium, if you're going to need more Diazide or what. But the other protocol I see guys doing is like vodka or like something like
Have you
that
done
night
any of
before the
that?
show. I've done like red wine before.
Did you
I think
notice
it
anything significant?
fucked with my digestion more than anything though.
That's my biggest concern. You're not
Mm-hmm.
drinking your entire prep, and then all of a sudden you're doing like shots of vodka or red wine. It just seems
I
like
would probably say that vodka would probably be the better option.
yeah,
Because with wine, you have other things in it. You have dude,
grapes, I
wine's
guess, right?
gross. Well, it's grapes, but like um
I'm completely ignorant on all that.
there's these like preservatives in wine that they use. Uh I had I don't drink anymore, but during COVID, someone left like some wine bottles outside of in the neighborhood at this apartment that I was living at. They left there. I don't know why, but it was during COVID, and
Yeah.
like I was like, I'm gonna drink a whole bottle of wine. I've never done that before, and I drank a whole bottle of wine, and I woke up the next day with the worst fucking headache in the world that like
Uh,
lasted like until like the afternoon. It was terrible. Uh,
I know. I think AJ Sims has his guys do black coffee and vodka.
oh yeah. I actually just listened to Oh, I think there's this thing in wine called congeners, and then there's tannins. Um, yeah, I don't really know, but no, I listened to Fuad's podcast with AJ Sims. It's a good one. You should check that one out. But yeah,
Yeah,
he
I remember
does
that.
do like black coffee and water, like and I'm sure, like I'm sure he. The thing is, like a lot of guys don't like to talk about their diuretic protocol because, like, I could have just told you something that's going to kill somebody. Like
Yeah,
quarter diazide might kill somebody, because I don't know what else they're doing. So I'm going to tell you not to do that, and you know, uh, leave that up to if you do that, that's on you. It's not on me. I didn't give you that advice, but
and the way things happen is like we were just talking. I just said I heard AJ Sims does
mhm.
vodka and black coffee. So then someone else hears that and they just kind of say, "Oh, okay, he does this," and they kind of develop their own protocol based on that. Whereas
Yeah,
what the coach is actually doing might be like a fifth of the dose that these people are kind of conceiving
right.
in their mind that they're doing. So they could get fucked up, and then they're blaming this coach. Oh, well, I heard he did this and I did it and I got fucked up. Well, you don't
Uh-huh.
know what kind of dose he was actually doing, how much black
Yeah.
coffee he was doing, how much vodka. So unless you actually get it from the coach, you can't really say, "Oh, I did Milos's insulin protocol or I did AJ Sims diuretic protocol." Unless you're getting it from them, you don't know what their protocol actually is.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I can kind of give a little bit of a breakdown of what that like diazide protocol would be, but we're also factoring sodium, we're also factoring water, we're also factoring in like uh, all these other things going into peak week. Like, you know, the other thing is like with diuretics, like the diuretic doesn't stop the day that the show's over. Like after the show, like I continued on a quarter diazide the next morning,
Yeah.
a quarter or like a half of a quarter, so like an eighth of a diazide later that day, and then I believe another eighth or so. Right? Like you can't just
Mhm.
stop it, or you take one and like. Okay, now you're not going to pee, and now you're going to eat all the sodium and food, and now you can't pee, you can't shit, you're so fucking backed up. Like, who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
Your blood sugars are 500, like, um, I don't know, but yeah, so it can get messy. One more question actually. Ment. So okay. Let's jump into these two.
Okay.
Well, okay. Ment, EQ.
Okay.
All right, let's go into EQ first because I've kind of like shied away from EQ because I've heard that it can be somewhat kidney toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but then again,
I've
like,
seen those
okay, like,
videos.
isn't trend kidney toxic? And the thing with
Yeah.
kidneys is like the kidneys, and this can like also be linked back to diuretics. Like kidneys, like you damage them, you're done. Like that's it. Uh, so kidney health is super important. I should be more on top of my kidney supplement. Do you take a kidney pill at all?
Yeah, I take Revive Kidney.
Yeah, I have their kidney too.
Yeah, it's 4 pills. I do it 3 times a day.
Yeah, you gotta take it a couple times a day. Um, I mean, if you watch like any of these like Nick Walker's videos or like Derek like Lunsford, or really any like pro bodybuilder, they're really on top of their health subs. Like these guys are being sure that
Oh,
they're
yeah.
covering themselves, and that's just the name of the game. Like you have to take your health in your in your own hands. So yeah, EQ. What do you enjoy with it? What do you feel like you get out of it? I know it's like kind of known for a good appetite increase. It's kind of known for like red blood cell count, which can be attributed to the appetite increase because it takes a lot of energy
Yeah.
to create red blood cells. So, fullness, joints, mood. What do you experience with EQ?
EQ is like
Strength.
by far my favorite anabolic. Other than
Okay.
test, any off season I would use EQ.
I know that Jay Cutler. I think Nick Walker's also a big fan of EQ.
I feel like it's a better version of Deca.
Yeah.
I don't get as watery. I stay even fuller. I ran EQ. The prep I did where I won my overall, I kept like a little bit of EQ in there, and I think that kind of helped keep me more full throughout.
You looked fuller. I mean, compared to the Nationals,
I mean, it was a fucked prep either way, but I definitely think EQ
Oh,
had an effect of keeping me fuller. So I mean,
okay.
I would run EQ off season. I would run it into a show. I've get my hematocrit checked like pretty regularly, and
Yeah.
it's always within range.
Yeah.
So I
Well, the thing
personally
is,
don't get to increase the blood count volume.
yeah, I think the thing with like your red blood cell count increasing is like red blood cells like also die off. Like
Yeah,
their cells, their life, so they die off. So like you might get to a high point, which can be good for endurance. Uh, what I can tell is if my red blood cell count is getting high, I start to get tired like throughout the day, and then when I'm in
yeah.
the gym, I have energy,
I'm
but then
gonna
I'll
grab
be
my phone
tired.
charger real quick, brother.
Oh yeah, go ahead, bro.
Keep talking.
Yeah, so it's been a minute since I've actually donated blood, but I do have blood work coming up pretty soon. So we'll see where everything is at. I did recently do blood work. Estrogen is in range, which I was under the impression that it was elevated because I read the lab results wrong until now. But estrogen is in range, so I do believe my primo is real. I do notice my hair coming out a little bit. Probably I've also been wearing a lot of hats lately too, though, so that might also be a factor. But if I lose my hair, I lose my fucking hair, dude. Like,
I've been shaving my head since high school, so it's not the worst thing in the world.
yeah, it doesn't look bad. I'll grow the beard again. I think after the 4th of July, I'm gonna just start growing the beard again, anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we might add an Anadrol. I just started DECA, so like if there's going to be a moon face, might as well have a beard.
Now, what do you think about EQ?
Um, last time I ran it, it's been a minute, man. It's been I ran it 2021, and I think we ran it up to 600. Man, I kind of want to run EQ. Like you
I
make it
really
sound
like it,
good.
dude.
Yeah. It's been so long that I feel like I should revisit it. Uh, I do think it might have made me anxious.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, and from what I understand is it depletes GABA in your brain, which can make you anxious. But I think what the simple solution to that is just to supplement GABA.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. If you are getting that, you know.
Now, I'm actually
Uh,
kind of prone to anxiety, but EQ doesn't make it any worse for me.
yeah, but also I've heard that people feel low on DECA. So
Yeah.
I'm starting DECA again. If I start to feel low, I've never felt low to the point where I'm like suicidal or like I feel like, you know, uh, but I do recall being anxious on EQ, but then I was also smoking weed at the time. So weed can make you kind of paranoid.
Hmm.
Could just have been that. I'm not entirely sure. So that's something I'll have to revisit. But from what I remember, I do believe EQ making me pretty full. The vascularity is good. Just the fullness overall is good. It takes a bit to like really notice, but it's I feel like
Yeah.
it's pretty mild, like in terms of it's just a nice compliment. I've ran it multiple times, and I've ran it with DECA too. Um, and I think DECA is something that needs to be ran. Like I, I I think if you're gonna run like a good amount of testosterone and you're gonna run DECA, you have to have like an EQ or you have to have a primo or a master on in to eat up some of that aromatase enzyme.
Hmm.
Because otherwise, I think if you're just going DECA test, like nothing that's binding to aromatase enzyme, like no proviron, like I think you're leaving the door open for possible gyno. Um, DHT is also really good because it's going to keep you probably keep your libido a little bit better. Um, yeah, I mean that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, I really feel like it's a better version of DECA is like how I would explain it to anyone. Now,
Yeah,
I'm sure
okay.
it doesn't have like the joint
Well,
effects
no,
that
I've heard
DECA
there's like
might.
some collagen production that you get out of
Okay.
EQ. I've heard that. I'm not entirely sure though. I got to research it more. I've been on this like research train for Ment though because I heard it in someone's stack, and I didn't think anybody played around with Ment. That it was just too volatile of a compound. That there's too much estrogen. I'd like to hear some people's feedback below if anybody has actually experimented with Ment. Um, what they found with it, what they enjoyed about it. Is it as estrogenic as they claim it to be? Because what I have read is it converts to estrogen or a different form of estrogen that's not necessarily active on like an active form of estrogen on the body, or it can. I don't entirely know, but I'd like to hear if anybody has any feedback on Ment. Um,
And
but
we were
you've ran
talking
Ment,
earlier. Yeah, I
yeah.
ran it twice, and
Hmm.
I really didn't notice anything magical or anything terribly negative either.
Gets a
Um,
lot of hype.
yeah, now I definitely wouldn't say it's worth the hype. I mean, I kind of fall into things like when I hear them hyped up, even if I use them. Like I
Uh
told you,
huh.
I bought a few bottles like last year just to maybe try at some point.
Oh, the
But
Ment.
yeah, like the hype behind it is outrageous. But I mean, I ran it twice and I couldn't tell you if it did anything. Like I can't attribute anything in either cycle
Uh
that was
huh.
different than any other cycle.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in the
Is it
middle. I didn't
acetate?
experience anything bad or anything acetate.
Did you run it alongside like anything, like any test, any
I
DECA,
ran it with
any?
Test and Deca at the time.
Okay. Did you start the DECA at the same time, or did you add the
No,
Ment
Mint
in?
was added in like week 6, I believe.
Okay, so the DECA would have been going already, and you would have had
Yeah.
some water
So
probably
that's the
already.
thing. Like it was already an ongoing cycle, and I didn't notice anything up or down at
Uh-huh.
that point from the men.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a bottle of it, so I might I was thinking like just drop the deck and just jump on the ment, like go, like, just but at the same time, like I've already had experience, experienced DECA multiple times. Um, I think I know how to manage it this time. I have the Aromasin on hand. I have Novadex, on hand to be able to. I have Raloxifene on hand to mitigate any gyno. I'm taking telmisartan, so pulling off some of that water. Proviron, I know. I just have experience in the past that really helps out with any type of like DECA dick symptoms or um even gyno. But Primo's in, so we have that controlling estrogen, and if I need the Aromasin, I will. But I'm also starting the DECA really low. I did NPP last year, but I believe I was just doing tests in NPP and GH. I don't think
Okay.
I don't know if I might have had a little bit of Masteron in, probably just not enough. Don't think I was taking any AI, so I don't think the Masteron was like knocking down my estrogen enough. I think I was like 200 Masteron, 100, 200 NPP or 150 NPP Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I just think NPP is too volatile. I think it just spikes,
Yeah.
does too much, at once. You have these other slow esters in that just aren't like if you had like maybe mass propionate, you could run it with NPP, but um I don't know.
Yeah. One
See,
kind of
like
footnote I want to give out about the
Tren
men.
doesn't give me any issues though. Like Tren, like I usually don't get gyno from Tren.
Really, which is a
No.
19 more. So that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Uh-huh. Like I can get more sensitive, but like I think because I'm prepping and like I'm leaner, that I have less body fat, that like your conversion to estrogen is not as
Oh, I definitely think
high,
that has an impact.
and then I'm also on anti-estrogens usually, at least to some degree. So I think that's probably also why, like I'm sure if I ran like trying in the off season, like full blown, like I'd probably have similar, and a similar like risk for gyno as I would with
Yeah.
DECA or NPP at that point.
One thing I just wanted to add to the men. The both times I
Mhm.
ran it, it was the same source. So, you
So
know,
it could be a source thing, man. I mean,
yeah, it's really hard to judge any compound if you only use it from one source. You know.
yeah. Oh, going back to I think this will probably be the last thing we cover, but going back to like carrier oils and stuff like that, have you ever had a, a carrier oil that you felt like were a source that you reacted to, like the shots gave you pain, you got maybe acid reflux, or maybe like you had some like allergic, some type of symptom, or like you felt more inflamed? Have you ever had
I
a
really never have, knock on wood.
okay?
I've experienced like a random bad shot or two,
Hmm.
but nothing consistent from any like one bottle or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was running this Sources gear for quite a while. Um, really good prices. Supposedly an MCT oil. Um, this is before I added in telmisartan, but I remember trying to push up to, push up my weight and just feeling like toxic, and that might have just been like the amount of water on my body, and just happened to be taking the Sources gear at that time.
Hmm.
Um, so I can't say that it was the source that was causing like excessive inflammation or something like that. It's probably just the amount of gear with the the water from not having an A or B in place, to where I would feel like my blood pressure would go up. I was also taking melanotan too at that time,
Okay.
which can in a larger dose like make you kind of feel that sick feeling. So it could be a million different things, but um I haven't necessarily experienced that either. But there's a I don't know, man. Like there's a lot of people out there, like I feel like don't know how to source their gear, and like they just go
Yeah.
and get it locally from someone. And it's like, I mean, if you have a good source and it's good quality, like keep doing that. But uh if you do your research enough, you should be able to figure out how to get your stuff.
Yeah. Usually the people that approach you, are probably not the best sources to use.
Yeah, I
Like
would.
I got approached in Crunch the other night.
Oh,
Just
really?
guy I never talked to before, and just approached me about, oh yeah, I've
Which,
got X, Y, and Z. I said okay, I'll keep you in mind.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, I would probably avoid someone local just because, like, especially someone trying to push their stuff, because if they got to push it, it's probably not selling.
That's a good point.
Or who knows, man. But there's a lot of like going back to like the generic versus pharma type stuff. Like, there's a lot of really good underground labs like that are uh I don't want to say like GMP like certified, because they're underground labs, but their processes are very good.
Mhm.
They're pretty much like an official laboratory. And what I've also heard is that they take like generic HGH is basically pharma GH. It's just the leftovers,
Yeah,
because
I've
there's
heard that
only like
too.
a certain amount of like places in the world manufacturing HGH, right?
Yeah,
As far as I know, I don't know like how else or how they necessarily make it, but I'm sure it's a pretty complicated process. Um, so like when someone says I think maybe 10 or 15 years ago or 20 years ago, like you would deal with that type of stuff, like to where like someone has bunk gear or like underdosed,
I've had that.
and well, there still
Oh,
is that, like,
yeah,
especially on compounds like primobolan or halotestin, or more anavar, and things that are like
yeah.
harder to, like, the raw powders are more expensive. But I would say like about 90, 80, 75%. If it's a source that's reviewed on a form, it's probably going to be and you have peer reviews, you have blood work, you have uh lab tests. I would say you could probably spend your money there and
Yeah.
rest assured that it's good quality. And you can always get a Lab Max test kit. Plugging Dave Palumbo, you can get his Royd test kit. To at least know that what you have is what you have,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I would suggest. If you're getting it online, I would say reviews
Mm-hmm.
um, and lab tests where guys are submitting blood work.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of the new UGLs, they'll have like on the bottle, they'll have like a lot number and then like a grouping number. So you can actually go to their website and look up that number just to
Uh-huh.
confirm that it's legit from that source.
Right.
And then if you have to get it from someone local, I would say see if you can find someone that's also using it. Not like the guy's workout partner who can,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I vouch for him. This shit's great. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
someone that's maybe, I don't know, a little bit further away from that source, they can kind of say, yeah, I bought from him and X, Y, and Z was good, but I didn't like, whatever
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
But like you said, local is kind of tough. I would say local is even tougher than ordering overseas or online.
Yeah. And honestly, I think like I mean, you're dealing with like you're dealing with a controlled substance at the end of the day. However, um, I think like in most countries, like Canada, like Thailand, like don't break the laws in your country. But the personal use, I don't think is much of an issue. I would probably advise you'll probably be okay with personal use. I don't know like what kind of trouble you get in. If you're ordering domestic, probably the best bet is there. And then, um, yeah, I don't know, get it for yourself. Like, bodybuilding is not like you're gonna go take a shot of test and go drive your car fucked up. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna go to the gym. The worst thing you're gonna do is tear up like Chipotle or some shit like that.
Yeah, you might be a little sore from the injection site, and that's about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, All right, last one on here, because someone said something. They had heart palpitations from the DMAA. Have you ever had heart palpitations on any compound? Clan.
No,
Have you ever ran DNP?
no,
No,
that's the
that
one
one
thing I've
might
never used.
that might be in the future. I don't know. Let's see. I kind of
It's a curious compound.
yeah. Like if I
The only
needed
thing
to
that
get in
scares me,
shape within 5 days for like a I heard a pretty good protocol actually about it.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me is like dosing. And then I know Dave Palumbo was talking about it. He said like the issue with DMP is the LD50 or the lethal dose of it is very close to the effective dose.
Oh, is
So if
it
you get a source that kind of fucked up there,
overdosed?
yeah, you could be in trouble. But it seems like a very interesting drug.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like a shitty time, but 3-5 days or something like that. Like, I think it might be
Heal.
applicable in like a diet, not a diet break, but like a mini cut. Like if you really
Yeah.
overdid it in an off season and you need to pull back in some insulin sensitivity, and you could withstand a few days of like very low carbs, sweating your ass off, and keeping
A
a
few years
tight
ago,
dose
Boston
on it.
Lloyd did a before and after where he ran it for like a week. He dropped like 35 pounds
Holy
in like a
shit!
week, and he looked good after. But he just talks
Wow.
about like how miserable the experience was. But
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. We'll have to revisit that one day. But heart palpitations. You ever had those on any?
never got him. No.
I'll tell you what. I've never got them on any AAS or Clan or anything like that. I took a SARM
Okay.
before. And yeah, dude, I got heart palpitations. It was like
Really?
S23, LGD 4033.
Okay.
Cartering. I do like Cartering.
I took
But
one that I actually liked. What was it called?
GW,
No.
MK677 or
I've tried that.
Osterine.
I do like that, but it was a Osterine. Yeah.
Did you like that one?
Yeah, I really did. I
Yeah.
would probably compare it to like a weaker Anabar.
Okay. Yeah. That might have been in it too, but dude, I don't know. This shit gave me heart palpitations.
Really?
Yeah. I've taken S23 before.
Okay.
That shit, it's like Tren and Anadrol together, dude. It makes you just
Really?
fucking yeah. I mean, I was prepping too, so but like it makes you aggressive, like
Oh, shit.
yeah, it makes you like just cold, like it's like yeah, like Tren and Anadrol.
Interesting. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. The other, I mean, it was like this stack that I took. Like, it was like a free bottle. Like, they donated us at Southern Muscle. I took
Mhm.
it like for like a day or 2 days, and like my heart was fucking like palpitating, like it was like
Wow.
skipping beats and shit. And I was like, I need to get the fuck off this. I mean, I was also smoking weed at the time too, which like I don't know if that contributes, but like, and I was also like looking for a job. Like there could have been other factors,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I mean, the other thing is like
If
I
that was
would
the
not.
one new thing you added in, though, it
I
couldn't have.
remember, yeah, no, I don't know what it was, but I remember like hearing about SARMs in the beginning and like hearing about steroids. I remember thinking that SARMs were pro hormones and that they were probably dangerous because like you know they're banned and like well I mean yeah gear's banned but it's been known about for
Yeah.
we have all this anecdotal reports and it's been in clinical trials and stuff like that. So I jumped on gear. I never looked at SARMs as being like an option as my first one. And this was early when SARMs were just making an appearance. Now
Mhm.
everybody wants to jump on SARMs like as their first thing. I would stay. I'm not saying I would stay away from SARMs completely. I do think they might have some application. I just don't think we know enough yet to where you should go in blind. Like to where I think you can go in a little bit more blind with gear and AAS and probably be okay.
Yeah. I mean,
For the most part.
everything, like, for the most part, everything AS has either been tested on humans or animals at some point, where
Yeah.
SARMs are more or less research chemicals that, someone came up in the lab and that's as far as it's gone. You know what I mean? I look
Yeah.
at SARMs as like less effective, more expensive, more possible issues than regular
Yeah.
gear.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think your safest bet is probably to find a good source. Look on the forums. If you don't know what the forums are, just look, research more, learn how to use Google. I
And
mean, we can
realistically,
all wrap.
testosterone is the best place to start. I mean,
Just test is the best to start. Start small and then just taper up. But yeah, I mean, we can all tie this all into the mentality of a bodybuilder, which would be one, like do your research. The sport has no rules, so like it's all on you. At the end of the day, your successes and your failures are all on you. The more information you can soak up, the better. But don't get paralysis by analysis. You also have to make decisions and take risks um, and keep what works and discard the rest. Do some people overdo it? Um, yeah, but like you hit a wall and you figure it out, you know. And if you're continuously like overdoing it, you're hitting a wall and you haven't figured it out. Well, then you're stupid. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to tell you at that point. Having a stressful job in bodybuilding, I mean, we both shared about like what our toughest jobs were with bodybuilding. Um, I would say like if you do have a stressful job in your bodybuilding, you have to really prioritize your recovery. Your nutrition has to be dialed into
Yeah.
a even higher degree, because if your step count's extremely high or laborious job, um, you're gonna have to really get a handle on that. Um, because your non-exercise activity is going to be so high and your recovery capability is probably going to be a bit lower with that stressful job. And then there's something else about that.
Probably gonna have to take more rest days than you would
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. You're going to have to probably take more rest days. But there's also, I mean, Branch Warren, like, and there's also Ronnie Coleman, like
Yeah.
police officer, so like,
Or
we'll
I mean,
figure
like
it
guys
out.
like Steve Pucco were firefighters,
Yeah,
like
or
active.
firefighter.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. For his whole career or
Yeah, John
majority
Della
of.
Rosa was an elevator repair guy. So he was literally
Uh-huh.
walking up and down flights of steps every day, like carrying a tool bag, working on elevators, like while he was
Wow.
a pro.
Shit. So that just goes all back to the mentality, man. Like if you're gonna get it done, you're gonna get it done. And then like pharma versus like UGL or generic, I think it's all kind of the same at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about transportation as being the main factor of what's good GH and what's bad GH, it's all being shipped the same way. Just about. Is there going to be some slight differences? Maybe. I'll have to revisit Pharma GH in the future when I can afford it, maybe. And then Jimmy will have to report back once he gets the
Yeah.
Norditropin going.
The one caveat to the generic farmer we touched on, I would say, is if you have a script or if you're getting it direct from someone that has a script.
Yeah.
That would probably be a difference maker.
Yeah, if you can really compare that, then that's what I would say. What else, man? Is there anything else we didn't cover?
No, our last topic was Ment EQ. I
Yeah.
think Ment's definitely worth another try. Since I only tried one source, and EQ I feel like is one of the best. I mean, in my experience, one of the best things you could take alongside test.
Yeah. 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 So Ment will definitely, I'll have to report on that. And then, if EQ comes as a card that I play later on, which it's a good off-season compound. I mean, it's pretty versatile. Like did you run it all the way into your show?
Yeah, up until showdown.
I've heard of people doing that too.
Now
I
I
mean,
did taper my dose down as the other compounds came up by the like end, like the last week or two. It was just at like 200 mgs a week.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes pretty good sense because guys will keep their test. It used to be that you would cut the test, you go to fast esters, cut all the
Yeah.
esters out about like 10 or 14 days out. Now guys are writing in on test, they're writing in on GH, so, EQ is going to convert about 20% or certain amount to estrogen compared to testosterone, what even acts as an aromatase. It will fight for an aromatase enzyme, but it's not going to convert. So, or if it does convert, but it converts to dihydroboldenone. So,
Which I think I've never used it, but DHB was really popular a few years ago.
Yeah. Some
I've
of
never
these
used
things
it though.
come and go. Ment like gets popular, and then you don't hear about it in DHB. But I don't know who's really using this stuff. I mean, I think a lot of people do stick to the basics test, DECA, EQ.
I feel like what
Mash
happens is like a good source comes along that has these compounds, so it gets hot for a little bit, and then that source disappears. Whereas like
Yeah.
all these sources usually have test, EQ, Deca, you know. So those are kind of
Yeah.
like
So
the
those
gold
are the
standard.
mainstays. Yeah. Yeah. So that pretty much covers it, guys. I mean, we hit a pretty long episode here. Lot to talk about, and we'll do another one next week. Appreciate everyone tuning in. I mean, so far the uh, views have been rolling in. Subscribers are coming in. We appreciate the comments,
Oh, that's awesome.
and the likes and stuff like that. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on the bell, and every Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're on. So if you have also any questions, comment below on any of the podcasts or message me directly or Jimmy on Instagram, and we'll touch on it in a future episode. What else you got, Jimmy?
This is all for educational and entertainment purposes only.
Yep,
We're not recommending any protocols or suggesting anyone do anything illegal.
exactly. All right, man. Well, we'll leave it at that.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Catch you next week.